Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast number 79. I am joined here in the Milwaukee studio by Johnny V.
What's going on? You look red. You look tan.
I'm tan. I did a better job than normal. I applied sunscreen every single day down there, and that is in fact a record. And I'm glad I did so. So thank you for all the people looking out for me. I did, but I still managed a little bit of a tan. Here's a good indicator. I take off my Fitbit, and there's definitely a legitimate tan line there still. And I'm back. I said earlier today it felt weird to have pants on, and what I really meant by that was...
I don't think anyone really wants to know what that really means.
What you need to know is...
Because you're not wearing any right now, which is a little awkward.
But earlier I tried them, and it felt different to have pants on. I went, I think, 7 straight days wearing shorts in the very nice weather down there in Arizona. And although I've been blessed, I brought back some pretty seriously decent weather here. It's been in the 50s. I don't know if it crested 60 today, but it's been definitely warm here in Wisconsin. So for the beginning of March, can't complain about temperatures in Wisconsin in the 50s. Global warming or whatever. We could get political. So before we go any further, of course, this is
You didn't feel the burn or anything out there? No. You used the sunscreen. You're good.
So before we go any further, of course, this is Podcast 79. It is our Memorial Championships presented by Discraft. It is our wrap-up show to the week that we just had. There's going to be a slew of random topics, hot topics and otherwise, that will get discussed. We're going to have our champion, Paul McBeth, there joining us here. We're also going to have Paul Ulibarri. He's going to be joining us and giving us Yuli's picks. So we're going to be looking forward to that segment. But before we go any further off the top of the hour here, I need to go ahead. I'm going to read through a list of various people and entities that in some way, shape, or form really helped us out throughout the last week. And I'm going to read through them relatively quickly, but they have to be read and recognized. I apologize if I forgot someone. But I'm going to go ahead and recognize Wednesday night podcast sponsor was Monster House Dies and Dis. Thursday night's podcast sponsor was Boom. And then I'll follow that up by sponsors of the broadcast: the PDGA, Discraft, Boom, Sierra Nevada, Disc Golf Pro Tour, Plastic Addicts, and Spinners on the Green, Keith Murray, Dan Ginley, and the entire event, all supporters of the actual broadcast. So thank you. Our crew, which slowly expanded, intentionally or not, but expanded, and people helping us out and whatnot. We, of course, had Joe Height on the catch camera, Gary to the O on the camera tethered to me. That's a daunting task in itself. He was tethered to me for the week. We had Matt and Matt on additional cameras. Excuse me. Rick Couchane helping us out a ton with graphics, which we really think elevated the overall broadcast. Thank you so much, Rick. Miles Parkhill of Paragon, Madison Walker, our co-host for the opening day and our field reporter on Friday, Steve Dodge of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Joe Canali of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Media Marty from the PDGA, Michael Downs from the PDGA, and then, of course, all of our interviewees, our podcast guests, and anyone that helped with whole previews or somebody that caught up with us or something like that. Just tons of our pros and then some. And then last but not least, some other supporters that came in specifically on Facebook prior to us even getting down there. Some guys that had stepped up and helped out. Scott Black, a.k.a. SETI. We appreciate it. Mike Cousins at Sandy Point Resort. Ezekiel Garza. Chris Kaufman, Matt Greiner, Brady Hanna of Deuce Squad. Mike Barnett of Sun King. Jason Wildner. Brainwave Disc Dies, Mr. Disc Golf, and Linda Murphy. So those were all people that I know of for sure that stepped up in some way, shape, or form. We appreciate it. We can't say it enough. All of you guys in some way supported us throughout that broadcast, and we hope to only get better from here. So we'll talk about some of those things.
It's not getting better right now, so hold on 1 second.
Okay.
All right, let's see if that's any better.
Okay.
Nope, not any better.
What's the technical glitch here?
I don't know. It's like the virtual camera is locking stuff up on us.
Pop, lock, and drop it?
Yeah, like pop, lock, and drop it, which is kind of annoying. And I don't know why it's doing it. Because when I stop the virtual camera, things get better. How can we broadcast out to the world from 2,000 miles apart, but when I get here, everything goes south?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. This is kind of annoying. Let's do this once. Does that help? That does not help. We're totally confused here.
One of us more than the other.
Yeah, me more so than any.
You can hear us, but the screen is frozen. Okay,
yeah,
well, that's what
it's like all locked up. The screen's like all locked up. It's very strange.
He says it's good now, but I think there's a little bit of a delay.
No, I don't think it's good. I'm looking at us being frozen.
Let it go.
I don't know. Considering I just rebooted the computer, I just got everything up. This is annoying to me. I don't know.
Do you need to shut down Wirecast for a moment and open it back up? What will that do to them?
Nothing.
You can blame Time Warner. When in doubt, we love to blame them until they become a sponsor.
Yeah, if they become a sponsor, then it's no holds barred.
All right, that seems to look a little bit better, or no?
Yeah, things are not as locked up now. All right.
All right, here we go.
We'll try to...
Please stop. Please stop.
Are you sure?
So now I want to make sure that everyone heard. From what I understand, everyone heard what I was, who I had thanked. So a huge thank you to all those people and then some. We certainly appreciate it. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Sponsors, people that stepped up and sponsored at the last moment, people that wanted to jump on board and sponsor in some capacity, or people like Rick, who again helped us with things like graphics.
Yeah, I can't stress enough how helpful Rick was and how he keeps reaching out to us. It's great. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, so thank you to everyone. So Dynamite is out on the West Coast. He's doing some disc golf world tour things. So we're not going to be having him, but we are going to have the Pauls. We're going to have first Paul Ulibarri join us. We're going to talk about Yuli's picks, and then we're going to later have Mr. Hashtag McPants, I think as we call him. So
yes, everyone's going to call him McPants.
All right, so I think it's fair enough that we can welcome him to the show. Paul Ulibarri for Yuli's picks. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? We're doing good.
Not too much. So you've got to be out. I think I saw a picture of you for Media Day and doing some things out at the World Tour. Where are you at, and what do you got going on?
In LA for the World Tour. Just relaxing right now. Got done practicing a few holes about two and a half hours ago.
Okay. Now, can you give a quick clarification? When I get too sidetracked, but a quick clarification. How does the practice regimen work? I've heard a few different rumors, and I just want to know, you have assigned practice times or not, or does that start later in the week, or what's going on?
Yeah, that's just later in the week. That's just tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why they're doing that, but I'm guessing it's so they can keep track of stats and see how the course is flowing, which I think is actually a really good idea.
Yeah, monitoring the course flow I think is really important. I don't know about stats, though. Like, practice stats are way different than your normal stats, so...
Yeah, stats aren't really important in sports.
Come on now.
Practice stats are not important.
Practice. We're talking about practice.
No.
I mean, let's face it. Well, what's good for someone like Nico, he's going to have the most in-depth stats because he practices like 40 shots on every hole.
Does he?
So he tries to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you keep track of every one of those.
Be like a score round, practice round. Though.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
That's different.
Yeah, that's what I had heard, is that it was going to be scored, but someone like Nico who literally likes to throw 10 or 15 shots sometimes on any given tee, if you followed out every one of those shots, he could have 15 sets of scores.
Yeah, that's true.
If they allowed it. Yeah. All right, buddy. So let's get down to some real business as to last week's picks. You and I did them on Monday, and then we released them come Wednesday night when we were already, one round in.
Yep, I did mine on Tuesday, and then we talked about it. So I'll quick give a little recap of last week's results. All of us scored 3 points. Paul nailed Lizotte on the head, taking third place.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I nailed McBeth, taking first place. So we each hit 1 out of 4, and we just did it in the right spot.
Okay.
Overall, right now, Yuli has 9 points.
Ew.
I have 13 points, and you have 15 points.
As
It's a long
Jerry,
year, guys. It's a long year.
It is. This is
Get
just
excited.
like week 4. And for anyone that's making picks out there, I made a new page. If you go to smashbox.tv/results, you can actually look at your point total. You can't look at your old picks or what picks you made, but you can look at what your total points are accumulative right now. So smashbox.tv/results. Let's get into this week's picks. Who should go first?
Yuli's our guest. Go for it.
All right. In 4th place, qualifying from his great play last week, we're going with Nathan Sexton.
All right, so you're taking a hot hand. Okay.
The freshly aggressive Nate Sexton, who told me as we walked down the hole one's fairway, he said, "You better tell people that I'm going to be aggressive this round. You're going to see some aggressive play." So, okay, I like it.
In 3rd place, I have Dave Feldberg.
Okay.
Oh, going with the old man.
So to speak.
I think he's going to have a good week. I think after playing the course or seeing a few holes at the course, it's more of a thrower's course than anything. You need a lot of different shots, stable shots, rollers, stuff like that, and I think that he's going to do really well.
Okay.
2nd place, this may come as a surprise, but last week I didn't have him in the top 5, and I think after the win at Memorial, he's graduated to 2nd place.
That's nice. That's nice of you.
So much faith.
Paul McBeth.
Oh.
Okay. Are you going to have to lend him that jacket so it matches his McPants?
Yeah, maybe.
It looks similar colors.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to have to win at least 10 in a row, I told him, before he might even...
Okay.
And then 1st place, I'm going with Will Schustrick again. He I believe I picked him to win last week, and I ended up beating him.
Yeah,
So,
you squeezed into the top 10. You had said that was kind of not your goal.
that was
Clearly,
a goal, yeah.
well, your goal was to win, but
happy with that.
it was one of the results you were looking for. So
right.
That's good.
I mean, my picks are really strong, even with myself. It's crazy.
Look at that.
So we're going with Will. I think he's gonna, like I said, it's a thrower's course, and I think he's gonna have a good week. So good luck to all of them, and I hope my picks are right, except for I hope I win.
I was just going to say now, if
I hope I upset everybody.
That's good.
And if you're, let's say all 4 of your picks are spot on, you nailed all 4 in the right positions, are you then content with 5th? I mean, assuming you're not winning.
It takes a little sting out of it, probably.
You know what? To be honest with you, this course I feel like is going to set up really well for me. So there might be a couple upsets going on.
Okay.
I hope so. I picked you last week. And that didn't pay off.
I told you what was happening last week. You didn't even.
You know what? I had faith in you. I also picked Philo, and he almost paid off for me as well.
Yeah, I did.
That's true. Yeah.
So, all right, I'll go next. Okay. I'm gonna take Yuli's method. I'm gonna go 4th place first. 4th place, Jeremy Colling. You were saying it's a thrower's course. I think he's got the arm and all the shots. He can do whatever he needs. So I'm gonna stick with Colling there. 3rd place, I went out on a limb because my goal is to make up some points. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna slaughter the name, but I picked is it Posse?
Posse Kovu.
Kovu. Okay, I always want to say Koivu.
Posse.
I took Posse. Yeah.
Kovu.
Wow, that's out of I was going to say left field, but in his case, right out of Finland.
I like that.
Right out of Finland.
Lahti, Finland.
I'm thinking he's not. He doesn't have to win, but he'll get up there. I think he'll get up there and he'll play well. 2nd place, like you said, thrower's course, Lizotte. I mean, I saw some of the holes. They looked long. They looked like you needed some power. I'm going to go with Lizotte to take 2nd.
Nice.
And I can't not go with McBeth for 1st until he proves otherwise. I'm sticking with the guy.
Wow. You got to go with the odds, I think. I mean, eventually he has to lose.
Yeah, it's at some point. At some point, and I made up my McBeth pick with Kovu,
Posse.
With Posse.
Kovu. Okay.
Kovu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll weigh each other out.
This course actually is a very righty-friendly course.
Is it?
It's very righty. It might be the most unfavorable lefty course that I've ever seen.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
Yeah,
and honestly,
no, it really is. I'm not kidding.
No,
we believe you.
Yeah,
and that's really surprising to hear moving into a World Tour event. I mean, obviously UC is known for course design. UC, and I haven't played nearly the courses you have in terms of what UC's worked on, but that's kind of surprising to hear there's that strong of a bias.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
Huh.
So I think that the picks have to be. I mean, if you pick a lefty, well, you kind of did with Germ.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking with Germ's forehand that.
But he's got a good backhand to go with it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh jeez. Oh, he's laughing at my picks.
The last thing we need is another GIF of me doing some eye roll.
Yeah, no doubt. Way to go.
From oddly enough, neither of you picking Rico. With a little nostalgia. Rico.
Did you guys see his Facebook post?
Yes.
He's practicing for the World Tour and he's stomping around in cement.
Yes.
Oh man.
He's a working man.
Get that practice in hardcore.
And I'll admit I'm a little confused. When I spoke with him earlier in the week at the Memorial, he said he didn't get in. He wasn't playing. And then later in the week, he said he was. But he also said he was playing the American Tour, so I'm not sure if he knows what he's talking about.
I don't. Yeah. I think he was maybe laying some cement at an American house or something.
Yeah, I don't know, or maybe too many fireballs. Anyway, so
all right, your picks, Ter.
Let me get to them. I think you refreshed them for me. So, mine aren't incredibly
sexy.
Well, there is a little of that. So mine aren't too far off the radar as one might expect. So in fourth place, like one of you two, I have Nate Sexton. Was that you, Yuli?
Yep.
I've got Sexton in fourth place. In third place, I think where you picked second, I had Simon. I got Lizotte.
Yeah.
Second place, coming off. I mean, he had one of the better rounds to finish up the event, but hasn't been as strong as we all thought the last two events. Nico. I've got him in second place, and then I went with the cupcake bully. I went with McBeth for first. So
you went with the bully.
I can't believe you guys are picking this. What's his name? Paul McBeth?
Yeah.
How are you guys even?
Yeah, what I did is I sorted the PDGA list.
I saw his rating was high. That's why.
I sorted the list backwards and I scrolled to the bottom and
a couple high-rated events, I think.
Yeah, he's been on a lucky streak.
Yeah, it's weird.
I did watch just before we started. I did watch one of the World Tour promos, and to me, I took it as it was the World Tour is Lizotte versus McBeth. So it should be it should be interesting that there's a few hundred other people playing in it, but
well, as I said, I think. If you take total points from this year, it might be just those two because I think they may be the only two, well, maybe Sexton, that's going to hit every one of them.
Right.
You know?
Paul, how many are you going to play in? Probably 3 of the 5?
3. Yeah, I think 3.
Okay.
I'm surprised that none of us have picked Ricky, to be honest with you.
I thought.
So what was your guys' thought process?
He's burned me every time I've picked him. And I mean, I don't know if he's still dialing in his plastic. I don't know if he's where he's standing right now, but he just hasn't performed yet. I mean, not to say he can't at any given time. I mean, just like look at Nico and Doss that last round where they shot 14s.
Yep.
Right.
At Fountain. I mean, they're poised to make a hot run coming up this week possibly.
Yeah, Nate Doss would have been a really good pick.
Yep.
He did cross my mind. When I talked to him just as the event wrapped up on Saturday night, he said he hadn't been putting well all week, and when he stepped up to a 40-footer during practice, his very first putt of the day was from about 40 feet. He threw it. He said it was dead center. He's like, today's gonna be a good day. He's like, I didn't even want to throw another putt after that. He's like, he felt like his stroke was there. So if his stroke is there and he's back, he's fully dialed in come this weekend,
Has he won the Golden State Classic before? I think he has, hasn't he?
Honestly, I don't know. But
I would
I'm not 100% sure, but
I would think so. I mean, I just assume other than Masters Cup, he's won pretty much every event in that area or in California. But because I know Masters Cup is like, his
Bobby
his
Music
whale.
Also a good pick.
Lived
local,
across the street.
Knows the land probably better than anybody.
There's something to be said about picking the local guy, but there's also something to be said that look at the pressure on him. Maybe like he might be putting extra pressure on himself.
Well, he's won the tournament, so
I understand that,
but
not the World
Tour.
He
doesn't care about the pressure.
This is a different
pressure.
This is a different event. This is a different layout. You just.
He's 20 years older.
Yeah, the guy's an old man now.
Yeah, he's all like 32.
Yeah. Or Philo. Philo's coming off of his 2 best tournaments I've seen him play in a long time.
Exactly.
He kind of didn't have the greatest final round. I mean, he still performed very well at the Memorial.
Yeah, he shot a 9 that final round or an
something
8?
like that. I mean, a solid round, and that's just it. We're going to say it every week. There's so many good players.
Yeah.
We could be wrong on literally all 12 of our picks when it's all said.
Yeah, I shot 10 down the last round and didn't move a spot.
Yeah, and we were all wrong on most of our picks a couple weeks ago. So what do we know?
Seti apparently out there is not doing so hot. He says, I literally have 0 points. Ouch.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
Leave it to the pros, man. We at least get one right person a week.
Yeah. I mean, we know what we're doing. Leave it to the experts.
Yeah, you guys are riding McBeth right now pretty hard.
I mean, he kind of performs.
Giddy up.
I mean, if you want some guaranteed points, that's one way to go about it.
Yeah.
You're right. That's why I put him in second. I want that guaranteed.
Good call.
There you go.
Good call. Right behind you, I hope.
Yeah, right.
That'd be nice.
All right.
Then maybe we keep you on for more than just this segment. Anyway, we'll see you later.
Any input from Kat? We'd love to have her on the show, of course, here too. Did I hear her in the background or no? Or no?
Yeah, I'm trying to beat Simon and
She's
Jerem at Color
Swap or Switch or something on her phone.
All right.
She's busy.
If you want to talk about picks, Simon. Color switch.
Yeah, I got you over Simon there. And then again, I don't know. Simon's got a lot of time in that big caravan that they drive, that circus, that he can just sit and play video games.
Cat.
So anyone out there who has Jerem or Simon's number, if you could text them, it messes them up. And I really appreciate it.
Text him every.
Kind of like I really
minutes.
would like for you to all post your picks on Terry's wall. Still,
no.
I haven't seen that many posted. Flood his message board, everything.
I would love. I want Kat to. I don't even want to say shock the world. I want Kat to make that much stronger of a statement. I want to see her cash way up in the cash line this week, and I think that'd be awesome. So, we wish you the best of luck, Kat.
All right, Terry and John. See you guys.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, Yuli. Thanks.
All right, guys.
Thanks for the picks. See you next week.
Yep.
Good luck this week, both of you.
All right.
And there you have it.
He laughed at my picks. He laughed at them. I mean, I didn't know the course was that righty friendly. I looked at the map.
Sure.
I didn't really get into it. But if it is really that righty friendly, my Coling pick might not be the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Coling doesn't have a backhand.
He doesn't.
And he's got all sorts of trick shots and
he's
whatever
literally
else.
only got one hand.
Yeah, so we shall see. It's going to be exciting. I don't know if maybe Paul or someone can let us in on more info. We'll have to do a little more research. As I thought I saw in a teaser that they were going live Friday. And I hate to admit it, and it'll take me probably 2 seconds to do the research, if the event is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or if it's Thursday through Sunday or Thursday through Saturday. Somebody out there can.
Actually, I can probably pull it up right here on the page.
Oh,
it says here the 10th to the 12th. Which I know does good. So it starts in 2 days. So today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it starts Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
And
they're going live Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
I did look, and Simon had mentioned this as well. They're still projecting rain on Friday, so that could hurt some of our picks. I mean, we saw the preview of Simon playing in the rain. Maybe we should have picked him.
Well, I did pick Simon. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. Those are Yuli's picks. Again, Johnny, tell them how they can play along.
You can play along by going to smashboxxTV/picks and make your picks there. If you want, I'm messing around with a new website. Go to skipace.com and kind of beta test that for me. See if you can break it. That's about it. That's a fantasy disc golf website. So go ahead. Skipace, SKIPACE.com, and take a look at that. Go ahead and register. Make your picks out there. The World Tour is kind of one of my first beta testing. We're going to see if I can get this really up and running by GBO. So that's kind of the goal. But yes, and if you want to check out results, SmashBoxx.TV/results will show you a list of everybody's name and the number of points they have.
And does that add weekly, or does it give you the results?
And the minute I put in the results, it will update.
Okay.
So usually
and that's cumulative though.
That's cumulative.
Okay,
yes. That doesn't tell you week by week. That'll just tell you cumulative.
Oh, so
how's that? With the website though, I've done. This is just a Google spreadsheet we're using, so there's not a lot of options, and I don't want to share the spreadsheet where everyone can see picks, because I don't want anyone picking like, I want to pick this guy, same guy. So I just show you results. But in the website that I'm creating, you'll be able to see all your old picks and all that other good stuff.
Okay. So Peter Beckworth on the board says, I'm changing my picks. Is that possible? Not really.
You actually might be able to. I think when you submit, they might give you like a link to change your picks. So if you run into something weird and you can't do it, just make it. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So everybody's putting in their picks here. That sounds good. That looks good. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're tuned in. We had an overwhelming response during the podcast. Each night, the 3 nights of the podcast. It was some of our biggest to date. We have a great crowd here tonight. Really no surprise because we're wrapping things up. But we had an overwhelming response. I'd love to know what you think of it. Johnny, we've talked about this in the past, that the format is a little different from our normal Tuesday night.
Sure.
In that usually I'm there and I'm hogging the questions, so to speak.
Which is fine. But it's always, as we say, it's always more difficult for me to chime in on Skype because, sometimes the players don't even see me. So when I talk, it's just like a voice in their head. Which isn't the worst thing.
No.
But for the most part, because you're there, you're on site, you've seen everything that's been going on that week, I tend to just let you run with the interview, and I'll step back until usually the end if I think of something. But yeah, and the format's obviously a little different. Here we normally start with Dana. We get some updates on the event. Then we move to, I'm guessing, Yuli will be maybe our second stop, or maybe the guest, depending on timetables. And then we'll have Zoe on every couple weeks. And, lately we've been having Val on every couple of weeks.
Yep.
And we do some news and notes and stuff like that. So
just so you know, whenever we do go to some of these larger events and we're doing the nightly shows, the nightly podcasts and wrap-ups, the focus is always going to be trying to get as many people in there as possible, to have them stop by, talk with us, regardless of how they're doing. If we got the leader there, great. If we've got 28th place and they want to, step in and talk to us, we're good with that as well. So that, I know a lot of people are like, oh, get this person or get that person. It's also kind of who's around. And in this case, we were at the player party one night, and the other 2 nights we were at Duke's. And so who's ever around and able to stop in, we'll gladly take them. So that's just to give everyone a little update. And a lot of people did, in fact, request about Saturday night. There's just a few logistics that make Saturday night additionally tough. People are trying to get around the road. They're doing award ceremonies. It's a whole nother day, location for setup. And there's just a lot more challenges to it. And we love the idea of being able to kind of relax and save a little bit of that for tonight. So that's why you didn't see something on Saturday night. We never said we were going to do it, but
especially at the Memorial, logistically, it's almost impossible because we're out at Fountain. We'd have to set up somewhere there. Players tend to scatter. It's hard to wrangle in. And then, it's more of like a summary between you and I, which we can do Tuesday nights. So yeah.
Well, there you have it. So those are all the things that were going on over there at the Memorial. I think in a few moments here, we're going to be able to dial up Mr. McPants himself and have a conversation. We talked about it a few days ago that it was it was funny that just like the USDGC chair, all of a sudden there was a new Twitter account created, and it took I'm guessing it's the same person.
I would guess there's somebody out there that's creating funny Twitter accounts,
and they're humorous with them. So I thought it was good.
They really are.
All right. I think without further ado, we can welcome to the show Mr. Paul McBeth, and also somewhat in frame,
Yep.
There you go. You get either in frame or out. Come on, Sexton. Get on.
Now you didn't say I was going to be a guest. So.
And you just showed us you were.
You showed up. You bullied your way in.
So you have it however you want it.
No, we want you as well. I mean, your input is going to be valuable here.
Of course.
Okay,
you were an integral part of the event for 4 rounds. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome to the show, everyone. We've got Paul McBeth and Nate Sexton. They're chatting us up out of Huntington Beach, I believe. I can never say that.
Huntington Beach? You can't say it?
Huntington.
You're the hunter.
Yeah, Huntington. Whatever.
I don't shoot animals.
Hunting. Whatever. Anyway, welcome to the show. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with Yuli's picks. What did you guys have to think about that?
I put him on mute. So.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
I may or may not have threatened Yuli that he needed to be picking me, so I was happy to see that he complied and slid me into his picks.
Okay, well, I had you in there as well.
Yeah, I didn't say anything to you, so that's good.
Okay, well, good.
Awkward. I didn't.
That is one of the challenges here we talk about all the time is Paul, Yuli putting himself in the top 4 in an event or not. Yep. I think it's interesting when he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it, but I mean, he's going for points.
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
We've got priorities here.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. I didn't pick Nate. I picked him 5th. We only picked 4, so he was 5th.
Yep.
But it's
very kind.
Thank you. It's a relatively longer course from what I saw, and you're not known as the longest thrower. You're known as more of a conservative, very accurate. You tend to be more consistent. You don't necessarily have the same distance as some of the other guys.
With the best roller in the game.
Yes, with the best roller in the game, apparently.
But
that's what I saw.
Most of that conservative stuff is thanks to Terry.
I make that up.
It's kind of overblown.
I can understand. I think maybe sometimes myself and others almost interchangeably use the words consistent with conservative. And so maybe that's in some capacity, that's really a compliment. There's a lot of C's there.
Oh, I don't really mind.
Yeah, I've been taking some of his lines at the new course over here. So most
of the big lines.
Yeah, the big lines.
Good.
Well, so let's talk. Let's start right there. Yuli just said it's a very righty-friendly course. Nate, you're famous for a very consistent forehand. Paul, you've got a great forehand. Does any of that factor in, or is he just talking out of thin air? What's going on?
It's not the thickest air that he's talking out of, I don't think. I think there's a couple good forehand holes out there. I didn't really notice it while playing it. It certainly wasn't looming large in my head that this is a really righty friendly. But I can see what he's talking about on some of the holes. It's not going to bother either of us though.
Sure, because you're right-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was pretty fair. Honestly, I didn't see a hole where I was like, oh, this is a really tough lefty hole or this is a really hard righty hole. I think it's pretty fair because it's a pretty open course or park, in general.
Sure.
So I think there's only one real hole that was, the dog leg left, but that's a great lefty roller hole.
So I'll just ask it this way then, and we'll put it to rest after that. How many forehands do you throw off the tee at this course, Paul?
I've only played it once. I don't, as far as I know, just one as far as I know off the top of my head.
Okay.
So that says something.
But there's a lot more, second shots that are forehands.
Okay.
But I think it's pretty open, either way. I'm still throwing turnovers on a lot of shots, so
okay.
Not necessarily forehands. I don't feel it's the best line.
I think I'll throw 6 or 7 off the tee.
All right.
So what do you guys think about the course, and how much does it resemble if somebody was out there, if I showed up 2 weeks ago and played a casual round with Bobby Music, how much of the regular course do you see in this layout?
It's I don't think any of the baskets are really in the same spot, maybe a handful. None of the tee pads are really in the same spot, a lot of new tee pads, but it's the same fairways.
Okay.
Just coming at different angles, different locations on the hills. But yeah, it's a lot of things are moved around, but very minimal. It's nothing too extreme, minus the back nine. The back nine, they cut out 3 holes and kind of squished it together. But it's got a lot cleaner flow to it now.
Okay. And do you guys have any predictions or thoughts on that? On the overall event, the course, any of it?
I think it's looking really good. I think it'll be a better course in terms of how much interaction there is with other park users. Usually La Mirada Golden State layout is pretty much a nightmare on the back part with like walkers and parking lots and stuff. It's just a lot of waiting. So I think this design will be a little bit easier, better for the flow and better for the spectators and better for the players.
And then speaking of flow, there has to be some considerations, of course, because there's going to be filming going on out there throughout the week. I've got to think some of the lines, some of the angles, just some of the overall course design factor into that. That's a huge consideration on UC's part, wouldn't you say, for events that he does?
Yeah, he definitely likes to keep it, drama-filled till the end. There's always a island hole, like hole 17. USDGC, European Open, and now here at the World Tour. Pretty tough island hole on 17. And then 18 is pretty much a birdie hole, and I don't know if he's filming the whole thing, but he wants the drama till the end. You could definitely see that.
Okay. Now, Paul, this is a takeaway and a question that we've talked about a lot, and I think it's going to get brought up at the PDGA level and as we move forward with all of our media. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought they had to do this during the live event last year for you guys overseas. Are we going to see things like TV timeouts? Are we going to see commercial breaks? Are we going to see, and I've said this before, you've been very gracious and you've turned to me or you've turned to others and said, hey, are we ready? Or is your cameraman or is whatever in place? You've been very gracious and very helpful with that stuff. My question is, are we going to see more of that stuff kind of forced in there, where the entire group is held up and say, okay, we got to wait, a full 2 minutes here because we're at commercial. Do you think we're going to see some more of that?
I know with the European Open, they usually have to do that because of the time slots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only like the last 3 holes and it's 90 minutes. So if it's going to continue that way, I could definitely see, TV timeouts and things like that for commercial breaks and those kind of factors. But if it's the whole round, I don't know. I don't know how that would work out time-wise because it is going to be all 18 holes. But if it's only 3 holes, I could definitely see them continuing the TV timeouts and such. So we'll see.
And I see, these rounds run anywhere from, a short tournament round for you guys runs about 3 hours, a long one 4 to 4.5. I could see a 2-minute TV timeout every hour. Put almost on the hour, saying, all right, we're coming up on the hour. We're going to have a quick TV timeout. 2 minutes, let's get some sponsors in. That's kind of my thought on where maybe the future is going to go.
Well, and I ask you, Paul, because one of the considerations that we had for this year is we always count on a backup on 2, especially in the first day. We were live for all of 5 minutes, and then there was a huge backup on 2. And then Fountain Hills, sorry, yeah. A backup on 2 and a backup on 8. Those are just givens every time I've ever been at Fountain Hills. And then during this final round, the spacing of the last few groups was a little bit longer. So we, as you guys knew, you flew through that round. I mean, it went very, very quickly. And
2 hours and 58 minutes, I think we were live.
Yeah. So, and that has considerations for people that are sponsors of our broadcast, where we wanted to play additional commercials or other, bits or pieces that were used, and we didn't necessarily have time, which we love things to move smoothly, just like you guys, but there's some legitimate, considerations now. So that's why I asked. So let's get down to the business of the overall event. Nate, you obviously played incredibly solid throughout the entire event. You went into the final day with a 1-stroke lead, but 3 guys right on your heel with just that 1 stroke. Any sense of comfort whatsoever, or what was your feeling going into that final round?
I felt good. I mean, it was a lot like USDGC last year, except the weather didn't get really bad, so that helps. I felt like I was just, as I'm always doing, just trying to stick to my game plan, and all my shots were obviously flowing pretty well for me to be in that position anyway. So I didn't really feel uncomfortable at all. I felt like excited to be there. And anytime I start to feel any kind of nerves related to being in first, I just sort of think like, well, would I trade anybody positions? And the answer is always no. So,
Nope.
so then it kind of, what are you going to do? I mean, where would you rather be than first?
Yeah, except for first by 10. That's about the only other comfortable spot, right?
A couple
that's
more
all
cushion.
up to me, so.
His confidence level is up here.
And you're working on bringing it down, or what?
Yeah,
I mean,
what are you trying to do?
I heard about maybe 15 times about how he's the hottest player in the world right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're coming off the
he's
surgery.
drilling it in my head.
It's good to do. Wait till he's. I know he doesn't sleep very often, but wait till he's sleeping, and then real subtly.
Yeah.
So
he snuck out the wins at USDGC Memorial, but he wasn't on the lead card all the time.
True.
So,
Yeah. No,
he's hot and cold. I'm just sort of sustained.
it's a good point.
You've maintained that official leader card spot.
Yeah.
Kind of a side question that I actually just thought of, which was hole 1. You're throwing that forehand, which is, we'll say, more dangerous than anyone else because you're all water all the time. How hard are you throwing that to get it there? Is that 100% for you? Is that 90%? How hard are you throwing it?
90.
Okay.
Like the getting pretty close to as hard as I can comfortably throw it. And I mean, as I told you right after I threw that shot, I was playing that shot for probably 40 to 50 feet to the right. But the last thing going through my head was, don't be short.
Yeah.
So the result of that was like a bit of a grip lock, which went right to the basket, which makes me think about doing it on purpose from now on.
Now, I'll speak to hole 1 briefly. That
390 feet, all over water.
Yeah, well,
At
12 feet short.
From point to point is 390 feet. You've got 5 feet of shore between you between the basket and the reclaimed water.
Yeah. Now I'll speak real quickly to Nate Doss on hole 1. He said both on the opening round on a little bit on Wednesday, and then even more so his first throw on the day on Saturday. He said there were a ton of cameras, lots of camera phones out watching him, and there was almost like a groan when he didn't ace hole 1. And he's like, what do you people expect? That's a once in a lifetime thing for me to ace this hole. And people were kind of let down that he didn't do it again the following year.
Well,
So what jumps out for either of you as, I'll say, a pivotal moment, if there was one, other than I can think of, one of the final ones, but is there any pivotal moments or shots or holes during that final round that, either kept you in the zone or got you in the zone, or maybe were a little bit of a bonus for you because you didn't think you were going to get it? Was there any shots that stick out for you guys in that final round?
I have 2.
Okay.
Go for it.
The putt on hole 10 that I airballed, and then the putt on hole 12 was about the same distance coming back, and I had to wait for the gallery. I was talking to Tommy and some of the gallery. I was just like, this is where it gets fun,
Mm-hmm.
It gets fun. So those were the 2 moments that stuck out the most to me.
Okay, and not converting on 10, but obviously getting 12.
But yeah, still remembering it on 12 and knowing what to do and fixing it.
Now, I think about hole. I'm trying to think. The one where you shoot towards the palm trees, where you just basically hit right at the bottom of the palm trees and rolled out 60 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that 15?
15.
15, yeah, 15. Did you see that coming? Because you didn't look happy when you threw it. But anyone else walks up and says, all right, I'm going to be close. What were you thinking there?
I threw it a little more left than I wanted, so I knew it was going to get close to those trees. I was more worried about it skipping up off the top of the hill and going out of bounds left. I did not expect it to hit those trees and roll as far as it did and as long as it did. So it was definitely surprising and frustrating because it was still a decent shot, but I was more worried about skipping out of bounds or going too far deep and not having a putt at it.
Yeah, the ideal shot is probably hitting like 20 feet right of that pin and kind of sliding up to it.
Yep. Definitely
was a terrible break for his to roll the way it did.
Paul, when's the last time you airballed a putt inside the circle?
Probably at the Wintertime Open, so earlier this year.
Okay.
But it's just the thing I didn't work on the most this winter, so I'm still trying to knock a little bit of rust off there.
Yeah, but your 60-footers were good. Rico told us.
At wintertime, yes, they were.
Yeah. Now, one of my favorite moments, I would say, of that final day was both of you putting on hole number 2. And I wish we had the video handy, but you guys putting on hole 2 with the ducks. And it depends on what angle. I know Johnny was showing one angle, and I'm looking at it from another angle. Do you guys, were those even in your mind whatsoever, the ducks that were, crossing way behind you, or the lone duck that was hanging out by the basket for you, Paul?
I noticed them when Nate was putting.
Okay.
And I noticed them when Paul was putting.
Okay, so okay.
Not while I was putting. I didn't notice them.
There was a single duck.
They weren't bothering me.
Okay, well that's good. And because Paul, there was a single duck just hanging out, and all I kept thinking is, I don't even know if it's a duck. I don't know exactly what it is. Some odd creature there.
Some fowl.
But the only thought that went through my mind is, what in the one in million chance that thing gets up and wants to flutter just as you're about to putt, and it affecting obviously the flight of your putt. That was what was going through my mind. So we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't talk about hole 16.
Yes.
Can you, I guess we'll give you the benefit. Walk us through the end of 15 putting out to what happened on 16 from your perspective, Paul.
All right. Well, it's pretty simple. They were putting out on 18, or they were walking down the fairway to putt on 18. So obviously they're the higher hole. So I'm going to let them, as a group, we should have let them go and finish out. And I went up to Nate and was like, hey, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. They should have to putt on 18. That's kind of like why I didn't run away immediately to the restroom, because I was like, we're going to have 2, 3 minute, 4 minute wait anyways. So went up there, told Johnny my score. I don't know if I exactly told him, hey, I'm going to go to the restroom. Philo was still at the basket by the time I left. And that's basically it. And then I came back and saw everyone was staring at me, so I'm like, okay, well, apparently someone threw and it's my turn to go. But I didn't know there was a clock. And I simply asked Johnny, hey, they said Johnny's counting, and I went up and I was like, hey, what's my time at? And he said, I don't know. So I just assumed, okay, it's getting close, I need to run up and throw.
And then without breaking stride, you basically grabbed a disc out of your bag and walked straight off the tee and launched it with really almost one continuous motion.
Yeah, and as soon as I let it go, I knew where it was and said something I probably shouldn't have said. But
which was?
Yeah. He doesn't need to repeat that.
Okay, I honestly, I didn't hear it. I'll admit, I honestly didn't hear what you said. But and then, you put yourself inside the circle. I think it was 25.
About 20 to 25 feet. 25 feet.
Yeah.
Were you flustered at all when, you threw it kind of hastily. Were you flustered?
No, I just thought it was a little like childish on my, when he didn't say what I was at.
Sure.
Because if I was over time, I'm just going to take my time and throw it because it's just a warning. No big deal. I'll take my warning. I got 3 holes left in the tournament. I'm not going to go over time. So I wasn't flustered at all about it. I just, rushed the shot thinking I didn't have any time. But no, I wouldn't say it bothered me at all. And then the putt was exact putt I missed last year against Germ. So
okay,
that's right. Yeah.
I flashed back to that and was like, okay, don't put enough on it, don't miss it left.
And for all purposes, out there, that hole on that course, it's 360. I think 361 or 370. I think it's 360 or 361, and it's essentially just a hyzer. I mean, you're throwing that shot in your sleep.
Yeah, for some reason that hole's really hard to go deep on. I don't know why, but I just ripped that disc hard, and that's about as far as I'd throw it on that hole.
I think it's just because it's so far left. After you get around the Mando, it's kind of, if you're going to put it up high enough with enough hyzer to get left, it's pretty hard to go deep.
Okay. And Nate, did you have any input on that, or what were you thinking, or what were you saying when Johnny was counting?
Well, he was counting, and so then I was like, well, where'd Paul? Like, maybe I should try to go get Paul. But I knew it was going to be a warning, and I didn't really know why he was doing that. But, he got to 30, and then he was saying, so it's now my turn. Does everyone agree that it's my turn? And I just said, well, no. You can give Paul a warning. Like I was sort of trying to get him to just either do it or don't do it. But
sure.
Don't make a scene about it.
Sure.
If you want to warn him. If you don't want to warn him, then stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I was thinking. But I was a little bit, it was just sort of a tense moment that I didn't really understand why it got tense there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but whatever. He was entitled to call it if he wanted to. I told him if he wanted to call it, he could, and whatever, that'd be fine. It'd be a warning. And like Paul said, I knew that Paul wouldn't go over time again, so I knew it wasn't gonna impact the result of the tournament.
Well, and I'm not going to lie, for a brief moment before thinking about the warning that crossed my mind, for one brief moment, I thought in my head, oh my God, is he going to take a 7? If they skip his turn, is he going to take a 7? And then could I was just thinking, could someone conceivably really lose this tournament by taking a 7 on the 16th hole? Like, those were the thought that for a split second went through my head. And so here's what really is the ultimate fallout from all of this. And we'll continue in a moment, but the fallout being, what's the protocol in terms of, so let's just say he warns you, when does your new 30 seconds start? Could the other 3 players, or 2 players in this case, thrown, and then after they're done throwing, a new 30-second clock starts? Like, when have you officially missed the hole versus, someone who, if the other 2 players throw and then you need to throw, I mean, you at that point, it's a courtesy warning for throwing out a turn, but not like, I think there's some gray area.
No,
and
definitely.
I think that's the big takeaway here. I mean, talk about a learning lesson for all of our rules. Do you have any input, guys, as to what could or should happen at that point?
Certainly there needs to be some clarification there, because it's very ambiguous in the rule book now what you should do in that situation, other than saying basically that you can't be warned and then stroked for on the same shot, so you couldn't have 2 time infractions from the same lie, is my understanding. And that but there isn't really anything in there about, like, after a time infraction you have this amount of grace period to then begin the next. So certainly we need that addressed. I think that this situation probably clarifies that we need to take a look at the rule book and make that a little bit more simple.
Okay.
I totally agree, because that's what I kept thinking as well. You miss 30 seconds, then, does it reset at the next 30 seconds or when does that officially reset? I think that's the question that's at hand. So then, Paul, I know, you guys had completed the hole, and then by the time you walked to the next tee, Johnny had privately more or less apologized and wanted to move on, and you guys were both good with it from there, right?
Yeah, before our next tee shot, he just apologized and said, I'm sorry for the situation that happened, and he's like, I hope it just doesn't affect your game or my game. And I basically told him, I was like, it's not going to affect mine. Like, I really don't care about it. It's just a rule. It's whatever. He never warned me or anything, so what am I going to worry about? So I didn't really care about it at all. It's not going to change how I feel about Johnny outside the course, or it's 2 completely different ways. I respect him on the course and off the course, and I respect everyone on the course. If you're going to call a rule, it's not going to change how I feel about you.
No, and that's what we talk about a lot is, since we are self-governing, there's always that question of calling rules, and are you trying to work someone, or are you just trying to play by the rules? Now, I don't want to say we picked on him, but I brought it up with Ricky after we followed Philo during the 3rd round, and our viewers, more than anyone, clearly you guys play with him all the time. I've known Philo for a lot of years, but our viewers really picked up on how methodical and somewhat timely Philo is. Do you feel like there was an inconsistency there? Because, I mean, if Johnny really wanted it, or anyone for that matter, really wanted to call 30 seconds, I would think tapes would show that Philo exceeds 30 seconds frequently.
He did, I'll say this, he did on Friday's
round.
Saturday during the round, he was pretty smooth. I mean, I can't recall one time when he...
I bet if you check the tapes, you could find 1 or 2 times.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, coming from Southern California, I know Philo. He is a slower player, definitely. But for me, like the final round, the 3rd round, he was slow, but, it's not like we're holding anyone up. It's not like I feel like he's gaining an advantage, because he's not waiting for the wind. He's not, trying to gain an advantage with it. So I really don't look at it, or care about it too much, because he's not holding anyone up. But if it does, happen hole after hole after hole, shot after shot, it might be like, hey, Philo, can you speed up a little bit? Or, a warning before you actually warn them, because, some people don't realize they're doing it, some do.
Sure.
But if we were on the 2nd card, it'd definitely come up a little bit quicker. Like, hey, Philo, we're holding them up. We need to, speed up a little bit.
Well, and I was thinking about already leading into, especially into our final round, thinking, once Philo and Johnny were on the same card, talk about opposite, they're just very different. We all know Johnny gets up, he sets, and he throws. He's a pretty quick player, and Philo is really on the opposite end of that. So I was wondering how those two would kind of level themselves out through the round. And then, like we said, we had no holdups. So factored in too.
And a lot of our users were screaming left and right, like, oh, why don't they call him or why don't they talk to him? And what they don't know is whether or not the players have. They just may not do it on camera.
Sure.
Someone may take someone aside and say, hey, dude, you got to speed up, or something along those.
And it's really tough too for people like who are watching it and stuff like that. Is there are so many distractions. We have such a big gallery when it's the lead card and things like that. There are a lot of distractions, but with Philo, he's not standing there waiting for the wind to calm down. Using all his time. He's really just looking into a shot, and there are a lot of distractions out there, especially at a park like Vista.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as well as Philo's playing lately, I think he's going to run into this situation a lot. He's a great player. It's not ideal, playing with him when he is taking a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's probably already thinking about trying to speed up his routine. I don't know. It's something that hopefully he'll be able to do and not have it impact his level of play. The thing that I feel about it is just like for me to play my best takes like all of my mental energy, and I don't want to have to be in a position where I need to go talk to Philo and perhaps frustrate him and cause unnecessary tension when all I really want to do is just play as well as I can. Mm-hmm. Especially when I don't feel like Paul's saying, I don't feel like he's gaining an advantage. It'd be different if somebody's like intentionally foot faulting or something and gaining an advantage on the field. But it just can be that's kind of one of the tough things about being self-officiated is that I just am not really interested in getting in that position when I'm just trying my best to focus on my own effort and trying to play the best golf I can.
Yeah, you do you, as they say. And again, we're not trying to pick or call. Well, I am calling him out a little. We all know Nico's, and it was talked about last year at the Memorial specifically. Nico's notorious for pushing that 30 seconds, specifically when he's putting. And I think that's something you're going to see more. So really my question here for you guys, both of you, is are some of these things that happen on the course, now that we have live media or even recorded media, are these things just coming more to light? And is that good or bad for our sport? The whole bathroom situation, most people wouldn't have known about that through a little bit of hearsay, but we were live with it all. Does that affect, how people are, people's opinions and how disc golf's being shaped and molded?
I think, people will notice it a lot more. These little things like time and stuff like that, because groups like Smashbox and other media outlets. But I think it's good. I think it's going to, cause a lot of people to clean little things up like that. When Nico takes a little bit long on his putting, and I tell him that all the time. The longer he takes, the more he misses. Simple as that. I tell him that all the time. He'll admit it. But I think it'll definitely clean up certain things like that. With people taking too long or these footfalls or people missing their lies and just random things. I think all this media will clean a lot of that up.
Yeah, I think it just holds us to a higher standard, which is kind of nice. As far as anything, following the rules, use of like profanity, things like that. You kind of I think media will reduce all of that, which is good because people know that they can't just act however they want and have it never be seen by anybody. It's going to be preserved forever, so you don't want to act like an idiot.
Now, I've had a brief conversation with Jenny McRae, Johnny's wife, and she shared with me that they've received some pretty disturbing remarks. Obviously they see them posted publicly. We've seen, memes and we've seen other things, but they've gotten private messages that sound like they're just way over the line, I think, in a lot of ways. Anything that, anything you guys can say to that, whether it's, how you feel or just to kind of finally put it to rest?
Stop doing that. Leave Johnny alone. It was a heat of the moment thing. I'm sure he would do things a little different, but we aren't mad at him, so you don't need to be mad at him.
Yeah, I feel the same way about just how Nate said that, but it's just we all get that kind of mail from people it sucks, but being in front of these cameras and stuff like that, and being players, we're all gonna get it, and hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds, for Johnny, but
yeah,
just like this cupcake thing.
Yeah.
We'll segue to it.
We were getting there, and I was going to say it doesn't matter how many good throws or bad throws you have. The one time someone sees you kind of maybe turn around and kick some dirt, right away they're calling you a whiner.
Yeah,
I mean it's notorious. You see it. I see it on the board, and you can't address it, and then you see it on web boards and whatever. So and so is a crybaby or a whiner. Well, you didn't see the 15 other high fives he gave his group. You didn't see a lot of the other stuff. So, but
well, it's good that we can put that to rest. But now we have to move on to another hot topic.
Yeah.
And describe your. Let's just start it here. Describe your relationship with Jacob, aka Cupcake. Describe your relationship with him for the rest of the world to know and understand.
Cupcake, yeah. I've known him for a few years now. I think since he was 11. But yeah, he doesn't live too far from here. He plays Huntington Beach. I've seen him grow up. It's always been the same. You've met him, Terry. You know how he is. He's been that way his whole life. I think I met him when he was 9, actually. Now that I think about it, but yeah, he's an outgoing kid, and he doesn't shy away from anyone. And it just happened to be his birthday that the final day at Memorial. So him and I have been close. I actually gave him the nickname Cupcake at Am Worlds in 2014. 14, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was there for that.
Yep, I snapped a picture of him, and he turned around real quick, and it looks like someone said Cupcake. I was like, "You looking for cupcakes over here?" So it kind of just stuck, and he liked it. And he made a hat that said Cupcake. So yeah, back to Memorial. It was his birthday, and his dad's like, let's do it. Let's get some cupcakes. He deserves it. Let's get him good. And I brought him up there, and that happened. And the person that cupcakes him the most at the end is his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So people that were saying, "Oh, he's a bully," if I was his dad, I'd beat him up. It was his dad.
Well, and from an outsider's perspective, it looks like he takes that really poorly at first because he stays hunched over. And even I thought, I'm like, wow. I mean, I wonder if someone got him in the eye with a thumb or something weird like that, because he stays bent over. He doesn't really chuckle about it that we can see on camera, but
yeah.
It was taken in all good spirits. I know, Terry, you said you spoke with him.
Yeah. So
he said thank you when he was hunched over. He said thank you.
Yeah.
That's it for all the happy birthdays.
And then he kind of jokingly said, he's like, I don't know if you guys heard it on at home, but he jokingly said something like, "Man, that sucks. I wanted to eat all those," or something, because he saw the trays of cupcakes earlier.
Holding them before he went up.
He probably thought they were for his birthday, and he was going to get a nice.
Exactly. So I want to say that his dad, Jason, is a supporter of SmashBoxx. He actually helped carry one of our SmashBoxx backpacks in Minnesota at the very first month we had, we started SmashBoxx. He helped carry around our equipment. He's donated to us, and he's always supportive of what we're doing on the show. So it's safe to say you have a great relationship with him and his family. His dad was in on this, the whole 9 yards. I think it's fair to say that people can chill out about this. Is that
it was Barella and Isaac McDonald who cupcaked them. So
we went to dinner with him and his family and the Barellas the night before, and Cupcake was getting a little rivalry going. He was shooting spitwads at me. So we were at the dinner. We were at dinner just joking around. So he was just we were just kind of playing around. He's our teammate. He's our friend. We love that guy. So.
Well, so fair enough. Plenty of people should know the story. It's just, again, we're in that day and age where every move you make, and I guess we're honored we have so many people watching SmashBoxx that care, but you weren't quite the bully that they said.
I guess maybe one last thing. The memorial isn't the memorial, apparently, if it doesn't involve some sort of drama with you, Paul. Barella's truck, is it salvageable?
I don't think so.
No?
I think they bent the frame. They hit it pretty good. They hit it really good, actually.
So some kids were they were joyriding, or they just took a corner too fast?
Or drunk?
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
Okay. They came around the corner. We were probably like the third or fourth house, so they came flying around this corner, and they just flew up. They took out the telephone, or they took out the street light.
Wow.
Moved that about 10 feet.
Severed it completely from where it was standing, and then pinned it in between the two trucks 10 feet away from where it had previously been.
Yeah, moved the truck about 5 feet.
Yeah.
And then, just they took out the bed, and But if the truck wasn't there, they would have been, they would have taken out the 2 cars, the telephone pole, been in the living room.
They might have been in the living room.
Wow.
So, it could have been a lot worse.
And were they safe? Were they arrested? What do you any?
They were fine. They got out. They both got sent home with their parents because they were 16 and 15.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I guess the officer said it was, the first time they got the car alone, and they just
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah. Sorry. Just went out and totaled a few cars.
I was gonna say, we've been in that car when Dad comes and someone had totaled the vehicle. Do you remember that drive home from Milwaukee with Sarah and the winter storm?
Yes. Many years ago. Yes, I do remember that.
We were in a vehicle that spun out on some icy roads and got T-boned at some point, and then we had to wait there for this poor girl's dad to come pick us up.
Whoops.
Sorry.
Destroyed the car. So I know I gave you a few questions about it, but everybody's talking about the latest Twitter account, the McPants. You've worn them before. Now, are you just crazy because you were wearing them when it was 90 degrees?
I guess so. Or it's, the first time some people have seen them. Like I wore them at Worlds last year. I wore them at USDGC, maybe somewhere else in there. But, they're actually thinner than my shorts. So, it wasn't a big deal wearing them in that heat. But, people seeing them, they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I know every time I wear them, someone's going to say something.
Sure.
So.
Well, when it's 90 degrees, if it were 58, I don't think there would have been as many comments.
No, there still would have been.
There would have been a few.
Red, so they're still going to point them out.
Yeah, they're bright red. But your shoes matched, and that was what was important, I thought.
Yeah, with the rest of your shirt, yes. So how many Twitter accounts surrounding you or your equipment are there now?
As far as I know, there's, the pants, the chair.
No others that we know of? I'm sure there'll be more.
I'm sure there's one about my bag somewhere.
Yes.
Oh yeah, good call.
And just to clarify, I'll do everyone else the favor. No update on your bag from last year. Gone. Still.
No, I don't even remember what color it was.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I remember one disc in it.
Yeah.
That's it.
The purple Rock 3.
Yep.
The slightly beat purple Rock 3. I remember that. Was your bag any different this year? That's a good question for both of you. Do you feel like any major changes? I know I saw a pink monster in your bag. That's a new addition, is it not?
Yeah, my bag's a lot different now. I have 2 pink monsters, 2 T-Bird 3s, 2 PDXs. For Memorial, I had 8 Destroyers, 6 Rock 3s, 2 Star, 2 Champion, 2 McPro, McPro AVRs, Nova, P2. That was my whole bag. 2 Thunderbirds. That's it.
Okay.
2 Mega. Sorry.
Nate, everyone's asking about your Firebirds. I know you made a post. You're hoping more will be available for your tour series later in the month. What did your bag briefly consist of?
A lot of the same stuff. Aside from the fact that both of our physical bags are actually different as well this year, so that was kind of new for me. Using the pound backpack and having the hydration bladder was actually really awesome in the hot weather. It was really reminding me to drink a lot more, I think.
Okay.
But as far as discs, this time last year I didn't have Sexton Firebirds yet. So now I had those. I was using those a lot. I used my Star X-Cals quite a lot, the orange ones.
Yep.
Destroyers, Star Destroyers, P2 for putting. I used a S-Line PD for some of the backhand kind of hyzer shots. Sidewinders for rollers. I don't know. It's a lot of the same stuff I've been using.
What would you guys say now that we're removed? Like I said, there's plenty of drama. You've been in the lead at the end of regulation for 6 years consecutively now, Paul. How do you guys see the McMorial? Sorry,
wow.
I know
that's it. Hashtag McMorial.
Well, it's a few years old. I know that, and I was trying not to go there. But how do you guys see the Memorial improving? Is there anything subtle or major or minor where you think that, and I know we talked about scheduling. I talked with you guys earlier in the week about, possibly Vegas being after it, then that's more of a Vegas thing. But is there any particular things that stand out for you guys where you'd love to see a small tweak or maybe even a large difference? Anything that stands out for you guys?
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of Fiesta.
Okay.
I really like the old way, 2-2. But I don't know why they use Fiesta.
To fit more players is the short answer. By having 3 courses, they're able to get more overall players at the tournament. But go on.
And I just don't think it's a pro caliber course, especially a National Tour caliber course.
Okay.
And that's my main thing. Is it's a really fun course. I enjoy playing that course, but not for the Memorial.
Okay. Nate, you echo or anything else?
Yeah, I can sort of agree with some of that. I do like Fiesta. Some of the holes are really fun, but some of it is lacking. I think the property is just maybe a little too small.
Sure.
But, the one thing I will say is that I thought the award ceremony was really efficient and quick. So that's always a good thing. Any tournament you go to, I felt they were really organized, and I was pretty impressed by how quickly they turned around the awards and had us out of there and on our way to dinner.
I agree. I think that's, anytime you have an event of that size, just the sheer size, it's tough to make sure things turn around quickly. And this year they were on top of it, right away. And I agree with you. Somebody said that there should maybe be concession stands for spectators, or I was thinking of even grandstands to watch. My question for you, Paul, would be, should they set up the stands on hole 18 or should they just set them right up on hole 1?
I think they should do both if they can.
Well, I'm thinking hole 1 because there's more. Every other year there's a playoff, and it has to go to hole 1. That's why I said, is the drama going to unfold there?
I think they could definitely have them on both, though. For sure.
Okay.
Nobody sits down during playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to look at it. And for you guys, we've already talked about it briefly, but next stop, obviously, in a couple days, the World Tour. What are your thoughts moving into that?
I'm excited for it. We did Media Day today. That was fun.
Tell us about that real quick. What did that consist of for you guys? And we're sorry we weren't there.
Yeah, they.
It was like the top 10 players and Cat as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they split us into groups of 3, and they had 4 stations that we went to. One was like an interview and video of us throwing drives. One was like portraits.
Yeah.
One
scores.
Yeah, one was like moving portrait type thing, like they have for like the NFL or something. I think.
Yeah.
Where it's like a still,
Yeah,
but you're like they can still see you blinking. And,
Sure.
And then one was like more of like a little like bring the camera in at you
Hero
and
shot,
do something cool, like spin the disc around or whatever. I don't know. So it was
or
just
in your
kinda
case, flip it.
You flip the disc for you?
Did you flip
Yeah,
it, Nate?
I did a different version of the flip.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tune in this weekend now.
Yeah, no, it's not a putting. It's more of a showy,
Oh, sure.
It's for the fans.
Now, was there? You said it was media day. That sounds like you guys providing media for the broadcast. Was there outside media? Were there any local interviewers or anything on site yet, or is that a different day? Is that something?
It might be something else. That might be more like a press conference or something
Okay.
like that. But we didn't do anything like that. It
Okay.
was more pictures and videos for different companies, basically. But
Okay.
I think they were all basically disc golf related companies.
I think eventually the hope is that it will grow into something where there's more outside, unrelated to disc golf media at that event. But this year, I think there wasn't much yet. They'll probably be coming out more for the finals.
Oh, for sure.
Now, you guys had mentioned Kat being involved. I was just going to double check. She is, in fact, the only female competitor. Is that correct?
Yeah, Val's
Yeah.
here, but I don't think she's playing.
Okay.
I think it's just Cat.
I was just going to run through the list, actually, real quick and double check that. And then Kat is currently, for everyone at home, Kat is, let me find her now. I had it. Rated 964, which... just real quick glance has her at about the just below half, maybe the 2/3 point in terms of just sheer ratings. So
Wow.
yeah, there's definitely, there's 30 people, I would say, rated below her. And so as we all know, you get hot, anything can happen for sure. Playing out at that event. Do Do you guys feel like that has kind of a USDGC feel to it, where when it's all division, one division, one champion, and any of our top women that go out and perform well could certainly make a statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably for him more than me, because I feel like I'm at home. And USDGC is all the way across the country. Same with Europe, the ones that do have that feel. It's a little different for me because it's so close.
It doesn't. I wouldn't say it feels like USDGC exactly, but it does feel like a big time major type event. Looking at the T signs and all the sponsor stuff, and I think it'll only start to feel that way more as they keep setting up. So it's really exciting to come straight from the Memorial right into another tournament with pretty much everybody you can name is playing. So that's always great.
And then the week after, what happens then? Or Paul, did you tell me you guys take it easy, don't you?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Virginia to go see my Liberty University peoples.
Okay.
I know they're watching right now.
Okay. Hi.
But yeah, I think we basically have a month off after this tournament, which is good. I think we both need to heal up still.
Yeah, I get to go spend the first night in my new house in Asheville, North Carolina. I haven't actually spent a night in our house yet. My wife's there, so I'll be able to go home and hopefully help her unpack some boxes. She's been doing her best, but medical school keeps her pretty busy.
Is that a house you own, or is that a house you're renting, or just a new place?
It's just a rental, new place. We went from Chapel Hill to Asheville for the second phase of my wife's school, where she's now in the clinical portion in the hospital. So we needed to move about 3 hours away.
Okay. And Paul, you were just talking about the folks following you and watching you. Did you feel that your off-season workout really benefited you? Do you see what type of improvements do you see this early in the season from this off-season workout?
Physically, I'm a lot stronger, and then cardio and all that stuff. And then I know my body a lot more than I did, previously. But there were some mishaps in there that I definitely had to get over and still getting over. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to continuing it now. I got the okay, so.
And now, Nate, you and I caught up way back in November. You were just a week or two post-surgery, and then obviously, you still had 4 weeks without touching a disc at that point. How does your knee, how do you feel overall? I'm sorry, you had a hernia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry.
I feel pretty good. I mean, the scar is still there, and healing. So just very slight pain, but I feel like I'm throwing at 100%.
Okay. Now, Paul, there was a discussion. There's always a discussion about your wardrobe, but there was a legitimate question that came in regarding a brace on just below your knee, a band. Can you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, it's a handful of things. The brace itself is for Osgood-Schlattern's whatever it is disease, just like a inflammation of one of the tendons that connects to my shin bone to I think my hamstring or quad, and it's just been overworked. And that the main reason, the injury that I sustained in Europe at the European Open, what I ended up doing was fracturing a vertebrae. So I ended up playing the rest of the year with that and not really knowing what it was until about November, December after I was done playing. So that was some news. I thought it was really just like a strain or a pain. But yeah, so that kind of stopped my off-season workouts. That's why you didn't see anything really posted, come Christmas, December, January time. But yeah, that was kind of, scary finding that out, but now I just got the okay yesterday to pretty much start doing everything again, and I just got to do a few tweaks to my form to prevent injuring it again. But yeah, I'm excited.
So it's good to know that you got the McSlam, as they call it, with a broken back, but this year you might be healthy. So I'm sure that's exciting for everyone to hear out there.
But yeah, sorry. So basically, I have two what is it, protruding? Is that
protruding discs.
Protruding discs that are pushing on some nerves that are causing the knee pain and things like that. So that's where the little slight change in my form will take that away and put those back in place. So
he he set some records with his season last year and getting the Grand Slam. He also set the record for the least broken back. If you have to have a broken back, he has the least broken back I've ever seen.
So he should quit playing into that. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm saying, he's still making a couple putts even with the broken back.
Well, I mean, we all saw it, whether it was live or recorded. There were a number of times throughout the year where you were visibly holding your side or your back, in pain, and it clearly was for a legitimate reason. Not that I second guessed it, but I'm sure others, were, thinking you were playing into something there.
I didn't know the extent of it, but it was just basically with this rib thing was the vertebrae pushing on the nerves, pinching the nerves, is why it was up here in the front. So it's good to find out what it was, and now that it's all basically healed up, it's exciting news, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of getting it back to where it was. So.
Well, speaking of challenges, you're not far from LA. You were talking and quoted in the LA Times, and you mentioned challengers, and I don't mean Discraft's top putter. I mean Wysocki, Schustrick, and others. Anything you'd like to clarify? I know it's kind of been talked about, but maybe not fully in depth out there. Do you want to talk a little bit about your LA Times article and kind of what unfolded?
Hopefully they come out and watch the tournament this week.
Okay.
But I mean, it's basically what I said about Johnny. I respect everyone I play against on the course. It doesn't mean I have to go out and hang out with them after the tournament or their personality or who they are, because I'm sure a lot of people don't like me. I'm a lot different than other people. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I prefer to go back to my trailer and read or watch a movie.
And eat cupcakes.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Throw cupcakes.
We throw,
you throw them. Okay.
Throw them.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people don't like that I do that instead of going out to the players' parties and things like that. So it's nothing against anyone else. It's just the way my personality is doesn't get along with everyone else's. So, but on the course, we're all there. We all love the same sport, so we're all going to get along on the course. But off the course, it's whatever.
So in a sense, it was when they had asked about, they kind of asked the question as to who are your closest competitors and whatnot. You had given them accolades. However, you had said that they didn't necessarily print that part, and they kind of went for the non-accolades.
Yeah, I mean, he asked me who my main competition was, and I just named the top three. Myself, Ricky, and Will, and that's where those two came from. Not they weren't just randomly picked, but it was actually top five players. I think I said Doss and someone else, but
Sexton.
It might have been both Nates.
Okay.
But
I'm just trying to help you out here, Paul.
So he was just asked what their strengths and weaknesses were, and Rick's. He quoted Rick's and quoted what I said about Will's. I just didn't have anything to say about him.
Sure. Thank God they didn't quote what you said about Sexton.
Yeah, that'd be awkward. Especially got to travel with that guy.
Say to his face.
Yeah. So if you did had to sum up Nate's game, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Ooh.
If you did have to sum up Nate's game, what would you say to him?
It's extremely overly aggressive. Nate's game is, I think I'd tell him a lot, but it's, he's got all the skill sets. He just lacks confidence in his backhand. And I actually told him before, I think Memorial was, a lot of the players we play against, when they get nervous, they go to their strength, which doesn't necessarily mean it fits the course or the holes.
Okay.
And they either go to their sidearm when it's completely a backhand hole because they don't trust it or they don't have the confidence. And I was really proud of Nate because the final round at Memorial, he was throwing backhands on holes where people that kind of feel that pressure would go to their sidearm or something or their forehand. And yeah, he held his own on that, and I was proud. And he's getting that confidence. Like I said, his confidence is up here. He's the hottest player in the world right now.
So I gotta follow up with you, Nate. When and where will you take this guy down, and how good is it gonna feel?
Oh man,
And
do I have to pick just one?
Well, I was gonna say, as long as just give me the heads
just
up.
Just the first one.
Just give me the heads up ahead of time so I can put you in for my picks on that week.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
But where is there a course? Is there a place where you're like, I think I have the distinct advantage here?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I feel like there's a lot of different kinds of courses, but I don't know. I think it's a little overblown when you're trying to say like this course really suits so and so, or this one really suits so and so. I think it's just comes down to throwing the disc, and I think clearly Paul is throwing it at a higher level than anyone else at a consistent basis. So I don't think there's any course where I would go in just thinking like, oh, he's done. I definitely have him beat on this course. It just comes down to me having a great tournament and being able to, really execute at the top of my potential. And I know, at the Memorial, clearly we were scoring at a pace, the wind was pretty low, but we were scoring at a pace that's, as good as has ever been done, I think, pretty close as far as how many under par we were on those courses. And clearly, that could have gone either way. He definitely won, and congrats to him. But it wasn't hard. It's not hard for me to imagine winning that event or other ones. So I can't pick a certain one, but I'm gonna keep trying my best.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying my best, and he'll have to figure out how to heal his back. That's the only way he can avoid it.
So if I was to guess, I would say probably one of the new tournaments that we're playing.
Yeah, maybe that helps because since I haven't been on the tour quite as long, he has a little bit more experience on all the courses we show up to. So maybe one where it's fresh to both of us would give me a little bit more of a
I'll admit I'm not good playing courses blind or new courses. So that's definitely the ones that'll be tougher for me to learn them.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe like a bunch of holes that are like 340 down a tunnel, finishing like kind of weirdly hard right.
Do you think that you need a pair of like blue pants or green pants that'll help you out?
I have blue.
He's always trying to let me borrow pants, but he doesn't realize how little he is.
They're like capris for you. It's great.
I think that's the quote of the night, maybe.
I might, he's making those golf pants look pretty good. I've never really tried them. Obviously I wear like a rain pants type of thing in bad weather, but he might get me to try some of those on if we go out to a golf store, see what I can do. I'm not sure if I can go any more aggressive than just black, but you never know. Maybe I'll just go white, really change it up, or pin stripes or something.
Consistent.
I would guess I'd probably pick black if I had my way.
As Paige Pierce says, anything can happen in 2016.
That's right.
So I want you guys to you were clearly neck and neck, and I was certain no one was gonna pull away by 10 or anything crazy in that final round. But just walk us through the last two holes. That was kind of a question I had somewhere in the back of my head, Paul, that we didn't get to in our post round interview. But kind of just walk us through the last two holes where ultimately it was decided. I mean, obviously 16 was it in itself. You guys, I think, you birdied, you both went birdie there after the whole situation. And then just both of you kind of walk us through 17, and then I've got a comment about 18's tee, but walk us through 17.
Okay, 17, I think I teed first or second.
Before me, certainly.
Yeah. I just knew to hang mine out a lot wider than I did on the first round, because I threw it and it kind of landed, I think, 10, 15 feet right of the basket and took off almost out of bounds. So I made that adjustment in the final round and knew just throw it way right. It's going to get over there somehow. And it got a fortunate roll at the end, maybe 20 feet or 15, 20 feet towards the basket, and basically gave me a tap in. So that I didn't really have any pressure there because I had the knowledge from the first round. Just execute that shot and throw it way, way wider than I thought.
And Nate, what were you thinking? Like you said, you teed after him, and you had to putt before him. What were you thinking during all of that?
I thought he threw pretty much a perfect shot. I was trying to pretty much follow his line. I threw a destroyer, maybe a little bit of an early release. I didn't really quite get on it as much as I wanted to. It's a pretty far hole. So my shot came across the basket a little early, and I thought got pretty good skip because at least it got up to hole high to where I had an unobstructed putt. I didn't have to go between those palm trees or anything like that. And I felt pretty confident on the putt. I mean, I had just made an outside the circle putt on the hole before. So I just kind of wanted to make sure, give it a good run. And I did that. Unfortunately, didn't quite get it to stick. But I was hoping to, I was already going through my head was pulling one of these if I made it. So I was like sitting over the putt. So I guess that means I must have been feeling good about it, because I was like already sort of thinking like, once this goes in, I'm going to give the crowd a little like,
let's get loud.
Yeah.
So you guys move over 18. Well, on the walk over, what are you thinking, Nate? You know, you just went down 1 to him. You're moving into 18. You know, you've got a great forehand. He's going to have to perfectly place a backhand shot. What are you thinking as you guys walk over to that 18th green?
Well, I wasn't like terribly disappointed to lose the lead. I mean, obviously I was trying to compete as hard as I could. I knew I would need a birdie, obviously, on 18. So I was trying to, get psyched up and focused to really rip that forehand shot, because it's a pretty full forehand for me throwing that shot. And it's a little bit, you really have to hang it out over the water to get it right to the pin and not come up kind of short and high on the hill. So I figured, in all honesty, I'm pretty sure he's going to birdie the hole. I wasn't thinking like, I have a great chance. He's probably going to screw up.
Sure.
I was pretty sure he's going to get a birdie there, and I'm probably not going to be able to win the tournament. But I was pretty happy still, how I played. And I just wanted to make sure to make him make his putt, whatever it was. I was telling myself, I'm not going to let him lay up and beat me. So I'm going to have to make a birdie here, and no matter where he lands, he's going to have to stick a putt to not go to a playoff.
Well, we'd seen earlier that day a putt half the distance of what Paul made spit out for Paige Pierce that handed Kat the win. So when you hit yours, and granted our viewers hadn't seen that yet, I was thinking, I'm like, this isn't a gimme. There are no gimmies yet. I mean, you still had to hit like a 10 or maybe 15 foot.
Yeah, it was 15, 18.
Was it 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
His was at least 18.
That far, and uphill.
Uphill, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a gimme, but I never really thought like, he might miss this. Like I was just, I was happy to play, to put up my best fight, and I was happy for him to, come away and make a good putt. I don't want to win a big tournament like that and break through by him like throwing in the water. So I want to beat him when he's playing well.
So speaking of throwing in the water, Paul, right out of your hand, you kind of cringed. And for a brief moment, I thought that was waterbound. Did you get a little magic air bounce that you misfired? Just tell us you misfired.
I definitely threw it a lot lower than I wanted, than I was intending. I knew it had the power. If it was maybe 5 feet higher, it would have just gone long, and it would have been a lot tougher putt. But my whole goal was just throw it up there and give myself a chance, for a putt. I know if I birdie, I'm going to win. So that was the whole goal, was birdie. It's a lot easier to just birdie it and win than miss it and hope Nate misses. Well, not necessarily hope, but,
you don't want to count on somebody else making a mistake.
Yeah, so I threw it a lot lower than I wanted, but it was, thrown hard enough to where it stayed straight instead of finishing to the left. And then with that green up there, or fairway, whatever it is, that grass is so thick, it doesn't really let anything roll or move. So I was fortunate enough to get that far, and it slid another 30-something feet. Once I saw the video, it slid pretty good up to the basket, a little bit past it.
Well, again, as you released it, I would assume I was the closest person to you, but as you released it, you kind of had a groan or a grunt or something, and I thought it was going in the water. I thought it was going to hyzer out at the last second and finish in the water, and it just kind of continued to carry for you. But the first instinct in my head was Nate may have just won this. So
I was more worried about hitting that pole that was there.
Sure.
Kicking in the water. And Nate, said it, he's like, even if you went in the water, I still expect you to make that putt for 3.
That's what I even thought that as he threw it. I mean, I knew he wasn't trying for the low and inside below the hole, rarely seen route, but I knew that, I didn't know if it was going to, I didn't think it was necessarily going to go in the water. I couldn't tell right when it came out of his hand, but I never thought he was going to for it. I remember right as soon as he threw it, I was like, he'll get a 3P at worst. I still need my game plan was never going to be pitch short layup,
sure,
and try to go to playoff. I was always still, it didn't change anything for me whether he went in the water or not. you have to believe he's going to step up and make that putt, as we've seen him do so many times, a big pressure shot like that. So I still knew that I needed to just throw it hard and make a birdie regardless. As it was flying, I had a lot of stuff flying through my head. So I thought all of that before his disc hit the ground.
Okay. Well, it was there was a little.
And you could see it on camera. You could see Paul cringe. You could hear him kind of groan on camera. So.
So it ended the way it did. Nate, the question on the board came in, and is that your best ever NT finish? Have you had second before?
Third was my best.
Okay.
So now that's my new best.
And now you just got to beat that guy next to you.
Yep.
So the next national tour event, and we're going to be live for it, is the Glass Blown Open. I know that probably seems like eons away from you guys, but any input before you head over to the national tour event? As that's off in the distance, I should say. Any thoughts or foresight for it?
I had a great time. It was my first one last year. I felt like I was playing really well. I had an unfortunate break at the end that knocked me from about 4th to 7th or something. So I really feel like it's a tournament that I can succeed at. I like that style, sort of a little bit more open golf where I can pick my own line a little bit rather than really tight woods. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and also getting the Worlds practice. That's pretty cool that we get to come back to that same place and play there again.
And Paul, you finally, dare I say it, you finally won there last year, right? That was your first time?
Yeah. I took that one down, and then that last hole was pretty cool. Throwing on that island and actually having a reason to go for it and not be worried. So that was really fun. But honestly, I'm really excited to just start driving the trailer around now that we're professionals at it.
Yeah.
You got a year under your belt, and now
it's got a couple upgrades.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I heard of a few of the miscues you guys had last year.
Trial and error.
Yeah, there's going to be bumps in the road. Nobody could have done that perfect. That thing it's almost like a spaceship. There's a lot of buttons. It's got a lot of stuff in it that you wouldn't really think about knowing how to use. So it took us a little while to figure out how to take full advantage of it, and I think we're pretty much there now.
Yeah.
So go highlight
go
any
through
upgrades?
a couple of the upgrades for us.
Oh, we got new big tires. We got
New suspension,
like
right?
18-wheel tires, and new suspension, new bed in Nate's room.
Yep, new bed.
New bed in mine soon too.
Yep, new awning.
New awning.
I don't know. I mean, we just wanted to upgrade it. We wanted to upgrade it.
No reason.
Yeah, you guys tore off the old one because you wanted to upgrade it. I understand.
The color was weird, so we got rid of the old one. In California, I think we got rid of it.
Yeah.
And so
that's where Nate's little picture is going to be on the awning. So when they pull it out, there's Nate on the awning.
Yeah. Well, the roof. If you guys ever seen the roof,
if you ever get up there on a drone footage, the whole roof has always been a ton of Sexton branding.
Awesome.
Yep.
Most
Prime
I actually
spots.
test, in the demographics, I actually test better than any other player with pilots.
Wow.
Excellent.
prime
or high speed highway chases. I mean, either
any
one.
Kind of people that do flying for a living, I'm generally going to be their favorite player. So that's why we put the money into all the Sexton branding up on top.
Good call. And then pretty much the two of you. Are we gonna see a little Tommy in the mix, or who are we gonna see in the spaceship?
We'll see Bree.
Yeah. Bree hopefully will come join us for when she gets some time off.
Okay.
Probably I think we'll get her in there for the last couple days of the Vibram, maybe a couple of McBeast challenges in the Boston, New England area after that. Other than that, maybe we'll be lucky enough to get the little AB.
Yeah, AB will jump in there.
He's going to come with me, I believe, to the Beaver State Fling while Paul goes to Europe. I'll be it'll be just me and AB in the trailer going up from St. Jude to Beaver State.
Nice.
You're not going to let him drive it, are you?
No.
He needs a permission slip.
Definitely not. We've seen what kids in his area drive like.
And we had made the joke once or twice on the broadcast saying like AB had to skip school, like high school, to compete at the Memorial this year. And when I had interviewed with you guys and talked with you earlier in the week, he only gets so many days to be absent from school. So it was funny to hear that, that's talk about disc golf concerns. And Isaac McDonald, I'm sure, was just the same. We saw him out there. He finished in the cash line as well at the Memorial. But it's funny when we have kids worrying about being in school.
I think they're just sophomores too. It's not like they're almost done with high school. They're like just starting. So those guys are young kids for sure.
Yeah, they're doing good.
Really talented.
And what is it like for AB to be part of this? I mean, obviously not everyone gets the pleasure of traveling around with some of the best players in the world. What's kind of his demeanor when he's out there?
He's a little brat.
Yeah, he likes to talk trash. He was really, I think he tied Paul 2 rounds in a row.
Yeah, he asked me how I felt, how it feels to shoot the same score as him. I was like, I feel like a 16-year-old boy.
I mean, and then does he rub it in your face that he's got an AM Worlds title and you don't?
No, he likes to. I mean, like his comeback for the 16. He's like, I feel like a 25-year-old man in my prime right now.
I just asked him to try to imagine how awesome it would feel to tie me, since he wasn't able to achieve that feat.
Nice. Sorry,
I think it's great. AB and Isaac, they were 1-2 at the two majors, the AM majors. So I mean, they're head to head, all the time, and it'll be exciting to see what they do this year.
So some people are talking about the Miss McBeast challenges. I was there for one of them last year. It was a really good time. What's in store for that, so everyone knows what's going on?
Well, we just worked on that last night, actually. I think we secured. Well,
we've got about 14 challenges we're looking at. We haven't really made contact with the local clubs yet, but we're kind of just looking at the schedule where we have time to squeeze one in. We're going to do a number of them, hopefully in Finland.
New England.
We got some in New England. We got some in Oregon.
And we might have one Monday.
We might have one as soon as Monday in Southern California at a course called Lake Forest.
Okay.
It's a new golf course.
It'll be a kind of a last minute one because, but it's under the lights apparently, a 9-hole and with lights until 10 o'clock. So we might just try to throw that together and see if we can dust off the old clinic. And we're gonna actually have a new clinic as well. So we're gonna have our
disc too.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the destroyer in, I think.
Okay.
In place of the crate, so we'll give the people what they want. We're gonna work on we're working on a putting clinic right now. We had the 5 key points of backhand driving last year, and we're working on some putting stuff now. And we'll always have both clinics ready. We'll kind of do a show of hands because I think people generally kind of want to mostly just hear about how to throw farther and watch us throw far. In my experience, that's mostly what people want out of a clinic. But if they're smart, they'll want to hear about some putting.
Yeah, that's where it really gets done on the greens, right? All the real work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't think I have too much more for you guys.
I think the only thing that people are talking about on the board yet is, Paul, did you see the World Tour commercial with Simon?
The Word Tour?
The World Tour?
They misspelled it. It said
did they?
Word Tour. We pointed out to him.
Yeah, so
we were making fun of it.
He's trying to take down the English language.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, well, that's Simon for you.
I thought it was funny.
Okay. And were you aware when they were filming all that footage, do you kind of have a general idea of what the commercial was going to be, or was that something that probably Jamie came up with afterwards with the shots that he took?
Well, I mean, it was filmed at the USDGC, so it was all basically after, because they mentioned the Grand Slam, the shoe deal, the all those titles and things like that. So they clearly wrote it after that was filmed, so there wasn't a script involved.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if they had any sort of general idea or anything like that, and then obviously adjust the script with the news of this year. So what do you think? Is Simon coming for your crown, as they say?
I mean, I feel like everyone is. So, he's the one with the video though, so he's the one with the hype now. I just got up to it.
And can either of you outshine his trick shots, which he's been lacking on so far this year? But can either of you? Do either of you have any in the bag that you've yet to bust out that are gonna outshine what he's doing?
Probably not. I saw him do one the other day that was pretty cool. That he did it, I think, first or second try. He just didn't have the camera around. But yeah, he's talented with that stuff. Just being able to think about them or think of them is hard enough. So
yeah, I'd like to try, but outshining him would be a pretty tall order. He's done some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that up to him.
Nate, what's your favorite one you've seen him do?
I like the bass drop. That's the one that impresses me the most, where he just kind of puts it up on the maximum time aloft line and gets it to drop in the basket. That's my favorite.
Okay.
I'd say far and away that's my favorite, actually.
Okay. And it's funny because that's the one I called him out on and said I think is the most duplicatable, if that's a term, the easiest one to duplicate. But I've yet to go out and try it. So, but
I think you're nuts.
Yeah.
You're going to see me doing it by the end of the year.
Throwing into a basket, a ways away. That's way easier than throwing like a stall that no one ever practices.
Yeah, but I mean, I may not look like it. I've done a little overall stuff though, some MTA, some TRC. I've done some of that stuff, so I'm gonna try it. It just won't look as pretty. I won't throw it as high as he does.
That's what I was gonna say. The problem is you can't even throw it that high.
Quiet down. So, so people are asking about coverage. We've talked about it. We announced it many months ago. We're going to see Disc Golf Planet teaming up with Spin TV to bring us some live coverage. Again, starting Friday. It's going to be Friday and Saturday. I'll just say Avery Jenkins isn't competing. He's going to be, we presume, in a booth. We don't know for sure the format, but I think Avery and Jamie Thomas, from what we gather, are going to be in a booth calling the shots. Give us, is that an easy task? Is that going to be easy for Avery? I know if it's easy or not.
Do you think Avery's going to be call out players that have bad shots?
Call them out?
Call them out. I mean, is he if you watch first round, Paul's playing with Nate, and Nate shanks a drive.
Doss, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Doss.
Yes, not you.
Yeah, his brother-in-law. Is he going to call out?
Yeah, his brother-in-law.
Is he going to say, oh, he really shanked that one? Or that, because Avery, obviously being a world champion himself, this is a totally different role for him. He's a great speaker, and I've got no problem about his capabilities, but I guess I'm wondering about his a little bit of his format or his demeanor, maybe.
Yeah, I could see Avery talking more about what could have went wrong with that shot rather than saying he shanked it or he grip locked that. I think he might try to break it down a little bit more in those kind of aspects.
Yeah, I think he'll have a nice perspective. I think people will appreciate the kind of knowledge that he'll be able to bring and kind of being able to. Obviously, he's thought all the thoughts that are going through our heads. He's been in every situation that we're going to be in, so he'll be able to bring that perspective to his announcing, I think.
Okay. It definitely should be interesting. And we're expecting, obviously, nothing but the best, that there's going to be a really well-produced video out there for all of us to watch and enjoy. I know we'll be watching it, taking it all in, and I think it's going to be exciting as to what's going on. Now, do you guys know of any of the details about when they're going live or what they're covering specifically? Do you guys happen to know any of that?
I'm sure there's some kind of paper that we're supposed to look at.
I'm pretty sure the broadcast schedule was released today.
Oh, okay.
I didn't click the link. I saw it on Facebook, but I didn't click the link.
Okay.
So
Exciting.
I think that it's available, the broadcast schedule. So there are answers to these questions, but I don't have them.
And now, have you guys have tee times been established? Has that been released yet that you guys know of for yourselves?
Just our practice.
Just the practice tee time
tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. And now, during the practice tee times, you guys are supposed to keep track of some of your statistics, inside the circle, putting, outside, things of that nature. Can you break down any details about that?
I think you're just playing like a one shot, like a real round. You're not throwing multiple shots. So we're just going to play in our groups and keep score. And then UC will ask us about our stats when we're done, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. You guys got anything else you want to share? I mean, the 1-2 punch here at the Memorial, it's been pretty exciting. What do you got to share for us? Anything else?
Yeah. St. Jude stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely have a lot of discs that I have, that people have donated, and they've donated a certain amount to receive a disc. And, it's just been so busy this last few weeks, but I'm definitely going to try to get those out before I head out on the road. So anyone who is going to donate $100 or more to St. Jude through my account or the Sexy Beast Tour, I'm more than willing to send out a disc to those people. So if you guys want to donate, go check that out. I don't know the exact link, but I will post it on Facebook after this.
Okay. And
all it's for a great cause. So I mean, I went there to their headquarters in Memphis, and that was mind blowing. I can't wait to go back and interact with the kids again. So
And Nate, I know you started your fundraising late last year as well. You two were two of the top fundraisers in all of the Invitational last year. Nate, I know you gathered up a bunch of raffle stuff so that you could raise money that way, and everything going well.
Yeah, I raised already $3,500 through that raffle medium, and I still have lots more discs, clothes, things like that. So I'm at this point, now that we're getting into the season a little bit, I'm in the same situation as Paul. If anyone who donates 100 or more through my portal, the link is on my Instagram profile for sure. I can also post it through Facebook. I'm sure I have recently as well. But I'll be sending things out, whatever you want, signed disc. I have some sweatshirts, maybe like a rain jacket or two, just stuff that's been donated from my sponsors generously to help me be in a position to raise money for this great cause. So I don't care who you donate to, one of us, hopefully. And we're going to work harder than any of our competitors, I think, and we did last year to raise money. So it's something that we care about, and your dollars going through our portal is going to help inspire us to keep working hard and outwork everybody else to raise more money and do the best we can to make this charity thing be a great partnership into the future.
Yeah, anything helps, whether it's $1, $5, anything. I think one of my favorite things is, $1 million from 1 million people is still $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's kind of what their founder said, and that's what he based St. Jude off of. So that's the goal. If you can only donate $1, that's still big.
Yeah, Exactly. It all adds up. All right, guys. Any final shout-outs to sponsors or supporters specifically?
Yeah, Innova Champion Disc. For me, Purist Labs, they're my supplement company. They're a growing company out of Texas, so if you're in Texas, check them out, or any GNC now. That's big. And Adidas Outdoor. I can't say enough about them. They're definitely stepping it up, and it's a growing sponsorship. So the more you guys support them, the more they notice, and hopefully they can start sponsoring our event. So continue to support them, and yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, for me as well. Obviously, Innova, Discmania. They're giving me the great discs that I use to play. As well, my other sponsors, Pound Disc Golf Bags is the brand new one for me. The new bag, the Octothorpe, some new stuff coming out really soon. So if you check out their website, they have a countdown on there. Should be somewhere around 20 days now before some really major announcements about new products.
Okay.
Also, Axis Sportswear. Keep a lookout for the 2016 Sexton Tour jerseys. Those will be available. Got some really cool logos on there and some cool colors this year. So those should be released fairly soon. And then Huck Lab, like always. Jay and EB out of Portland. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate it. Everybody on the board appreciates it. Thank you for your time, all of your insight, all of your candid responses, and it's an honor that we can get kind of a double whammy here, getting the number 1 and 2 people from this previous weekend, and we thank you guys for everything.
Well, thank you guys.
Hopefully see you guys out there at some events.
All right. Well,
sure.
We'll probably see you in a few weeks somewhere or another. So have a great night, guys.
Good night.
You guys too.
See ya. All right, so there you have it. Paul McBeth, Nate Sexton. As I just said, people are really appreciative of the just openness and candid responses that we get. We love that our pros are so accessible. We say that all the time as well. And for them to take out the time, I know Paul frequently tunes into the show live on Tuesday nights to see what's going on. And if he strives to improve, maybe Yuli will pick him sometime to win a tournament, but
maybe
I don't know. I guess he's got something to prove.
How much do you think we need to donate to St. Jude to get his pants? I mean, he'll send out a disc to get those red pants. He like 200, 300?
I don't know.
Because we could just have them here.
I don't want to go there. I don't think I want to go there. But again, thank you to you, both Paul and Nate. Great ambassadors, helping raise the money, and then doing so many other things off the course, doing the McBeast challenges and answering questions and making them themselves just generally accessible. So we say it all the time. People ask us, "Oh, it seems like you favor certain people." We favor people who work with us, and Paul and Nate are two guys that
Both
always are always anxious, ready, willing, and able to work with us, and that's what we love at Smashbox. So if you don't see enough of your top pro, if it's someone else and they're your top pro, get them to be more friendly with us. Maybe, I don't know, but we'll work with anyone. So
or get them to win more.
But that
doesn't
hurt.
Yep, we tend to bring on winners.
We do. We certainly do. So I would. Someone on the board, Quinn Donnelly says, I would give excessive amounts of money for the pans. Yeah, I don't know if we want to go anywhere near all of where this could go. So we'd also like to thank our Smashies. We Johnny and I talked about it quickly before the show started that we had broken a new record. In fact, Saturday afternoon, it was the largest number, over 5,000 people.
We almost hit 5,500.
Over 5,000 people watching concurrently. That means at any one point, over 5,000 people were taking it all in at once, which was awesome. And then to follow that up, our podcast every night exceeded our regular weekly ones, which isn't that big of a surprise. But our podcast had reached new record numbers every night.
They
as well.
exceeded our expectations.
And our expectations. And I'm going to follow it up one more step. I'm almost positive we broke an official record tonight. I'll say unofficially until I research it or make up something. I think we broke yet a brand new podcast record of all time for most people watching our podcast live tonight.
Yeah.
Beating any numbers we had just in the last few days.
Momentum.
Tonight's was the greatest podcast in terms of numbers. So thank you guys. It's just amazing having you guys tuning in and giving us your feedback, good and bad. How much feedback? We'll segue a little bit to some of the broadcast details. Hopefully you guys find that enjoyable. But what were some of the things that you were getting? I mean, all of us on the crew get a little bit different. I get people private messaging me in the middle of the round saying, this, that, or the other thing. But what are some of the things that you either read or took in or got private messaged about yourself or that came in on the board, which is hard for you to keep up on during
for whatever reason, not whatever reason, the more we add on to the broadcast, the less I can monitor the board.
Correct.
The chat board, because now, we've got lower thirds. I've got whole graphics with, par and everything. I need to switch those out, different shots,
thanks,
more commercials. Yeah, thanks, Rick. So the more that we have, the less, unfortunately, I can monitor the board. So now I rely on some Smashies, give them moderator status to let them give them the ban hammer, so to speak. But I was more active after hours on different web boards between Reddit and Disc Golf Course Review.
Yep.
And it was pretty nice to us, which I'll say is it's nice. It's heartwarming. A couple things I heard someone say something along the lines of you should use the term minus instead of negative. Like negative, they're not negative 18, they're minus 18.
Okay.
And it's a golf thing, apparently.
Sure, I could understand that.
Yep. So someone says, it's real finicky. He's like,
no, I mean, I think that's pertinent feedback. Yeah. I have to remember it, but it's pertinent.
Of course,
feedback.
and it's hard because we grow up with certain
vernacular.
Dialect and vernacular, and it's kind of like oh, he's neg 10. What does neg mean? It's negative. It's negative 10. It's minus 10. So depending on where you're from, that can obviously, but apparently it's pretty standard in golf to say minus.
Okay.
So that's one thing. For the broadcast, people were saying less about the animated. Rick gave us these really cool animated lower thirds.
Sure.
Some people are saying a little less animation on those. The fact that it maybe lost a little something in the translation because of the resolution. Maybe we were at the 720, that it wasn't quite what they wanted. And so, we're taking that into account. We take a look at that, and maybe we don't do something quite as animated. Maybe we do something a little bit more, a little bit less motion in it. I remember saying last year at Vibram that whatever, I think we're seeing what the World Tour is doing with the green screens. That I tried that with Jeremy Colling, actually. I brought him, I pulled him aside, and I wanted to film him and kind of have a little animated lower third with a person in it. So there's that. Other than that, people enjoyed the broadcast. On my side, I had some tech issues with the program here that it crashed a couple times. And I'll say this, I screamed like a little girl, like you do when putts hit, on hole 18 when they walked up to the tee on the final hole and everything went down. and I don't know if I screamed. My wife literally came downstairs. She's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
As I'm clicking to reopen it, and it came back up really fast. I've put a lot of thought into it. I think I found a way to avoid any sort of downtime with crashes. There's a backup stream we can run, and I'll run it off site at a remote thing, and it'll just be it's just something I'll need, one more thing I'll need to monitor. So other than that, the volume in the commercials were the other thing, the audio. And I've tried to say it a bunch of times, and it ultimately falls on me, that when we test, I have you talk like you're going to do an interview, this and that. So I kind of volume level out that. And then when we get on the course, you get a lot quieter.
Naturally.
As you have to.
Yeah, because we're near players.
So people will turn up their volume, which then raises the volume of every commercial.
Correct.
Because I don't want commercial to be too quiet, and I obviously don't want them to be too loud. And unfortunately, with the program that we have, there really isn't, at our price range, I don't think, a really good audio compressor or limiter or equalizer, so to speak. So there's a couple things, suggestions people have thrown out that I might actually do if there's time. And, we run into issues with, someone hands us a commercial quite literally 5 minutes before the broadcast because they're getting us a brand new one or this or that. So things like that, there's always ways to improve. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And we're always working and striving to do things better. And we're going to find a way to please everybody, Terry.
Yes, that's what I'm known for, is pleasing everyone. Some of the comments on the board, which all fall in conjunction with what you're saying regarding volumes and switching away to commercials or coming back from commercials. A lot of people seem to really like the added things that we can throw in there every once in a while, the newer, unique things. We thank people like Steve Dodge and Joe Canale and those types of people that can give us added, things to take away from, I don't want to say the boredom, but just the downtime. And I'm going to tell you guys, I like downtime just as little as you guys do.
It's frustrating.
It's a part of the broadcast. It's, unless we played every round, like the final round at Fountain, which we can't count on, there's going to be certain things that are just going to be a downtime. I'd like to, again, thank Madison Walker. It was kind of a shot in the dark for her to, at the last moment for me to ask her to join me. And she was very accommodating to it. And I loved having her. And I know that she's really, that's the first round she's ever called fully live, ever. And by all the feedback that came in, everybody really enjoyed having her on. And I think if we can continue to have her or others, they're going to continue to get better. They take a little pressure and a little babbling off of me. I mean, there's just a lot of advantages out there. So we'll just keep, going with that as best as we can.
Dutch asks if you can wear some sort of bubble on your head, maybe like one of those old scuba gears.
Oh, okay.
And then
what would that do for me?
So you're quieter, so we can be louder and you have to worry.
Oh, okay. That would be a good way to do it. One of the thoughts out there too was regarding the camera, and there was a minor resolution issue. We had ultimately we changed a setting in the camera to affect one thing, and then unknown or unbeknownst to us, it ultimately changed another setting somewhere else in the camera.
Yep.
And that's why it wasn't the screen wasn't. I cleaned the screen multiple times actually.
Yep. And we thought maybe it was on manual focus, which is why it seemed to come in because what I'm seeing is a tiny, like a 3-inch by 2-inch box, and everything looks really clear to me. But when you blow that up, obviously, we were pushing out at a lower definition than one of the cameras. One camera was set lower than the other, so. We found out Saturday, literally, I think on hole 1, when I watched something boot up, I finally noticed it was that we were getting what we were seeing, and so I told Terry, I'm like, okay, at our first backup on hole 2, we'll get this fixed. Then, as we know, there's no backup on 2. I said, okay, well, when we get to 7 or 8, wherever that backup is, there's always a backup there. We'll get it done. We'll quick change it. It'll take like 3 minutes. No backup there. No backup on 15, 16, where sometimes there is. It's just we never had a chance to fix it, which is good because we were smooth, and it's just one of those things. Hindsight 2020. It's something now we know. Put it on the checklist. make a checklist, put it on the checklist, and check it out. So it wasn't anybody. It was on us that one camera was a different resolution than the other one.
I'd like to address which this has nothing to do with us, but I'll address it. Somebody asked about what about the fans getting hit with this. That goes all the way back to the tightness of that particular course, especially. And you can, unfortunately, out at Fountain, you could be standing in one spot, and an errant shot from maybe 2 or 3 different holes could find you.
And I'll say this: it was hole 10 where Johnny first hit a player up on the sidewalk.
Correct. Where they were already standing in what is known as the OB area.
Yeah, that's no OB area. That's unfortunately that's on Johnny. Unless because it looked like he got a hold of one and maybe grip locked it a bit and pulled it more right than he wanted to. Because even a hyzer there shouldn't probably hit those people. We saw 2 spectators hit and a dog.
Yeah. And
go take a look at the Jen Allen shot from
hole 17.
From hole 17 where she crushes it. Wow, she puts a mean hurt on that disc, and she ends up skipping and hitting a dog.
So those are things. Yeah, you're right. It was they're right on. It was hole 11 actually, and
hole 11. Yeah.
And there, the conversation was as to if that in fact saved him a stroke. Somebody else had said with the angle, and I didn't have a real good line on it myself from where I was standing, but that it looked very possibly saved him a stroke.
Yeah,
I know
from what I saw, it looked flat heading that direction towards the road, so it could have. I mean, there's always a possibility it skips back in, but either way, if he skips back in, he's probably still taking a 3 from wherever he lands up there.
True.
And I believe he took a 3 from where he was. He pitched up, I think, and took a 3. So it's
Yeah, number 11 out at Fountain, was the one we're talking about specifically. 17 out at Fountain, and then there was one other.
Yeah, 10 goes to the corner, 11 goes to the palm trees.
So those are all, and you're right. Somebody had said, the spectators, the on-site spectators have to pay attention. They do. I mean, no matter how many are there, and no matter where they're placed, they always have to be paying attention. And you could very easily be looking off at, somebody putting on hole, in this case, throwing a drive on 18, but getting hit on 17, or throwing their drive on 16, and so on and so forth. The PDGA did tell everyone to back up multiple times, and there's some crowd control that just has to happen. And then even on top of it, people have to be paying attention. So
keep your head on a swivel.
Of course, that again has nothing to do with us. But has anyone been killed by a golf disc? That I haven't heard of directly. So anything else in terms of the broadcast?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if people have suggestions, I know everyone wants to suggest more cameras. That's a manpower and money thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally every camera we adds about $4,000 to $5,000 to a broadcast. Well, it's $4,000 to $5,000 to buy the camera, and then to add it to the broadcast is a couple grand.
Then you need a camera operator. Then we need other equipment, and so on and so forth. So there's a legitimate expense there right off the bat. So anytime you're talking about adding additional camera crews, and just a quick reminder, and it's just a reminder. This overall broadcast, what did I say before? How many millions? I don't know. 6 million minutes or 6 million minutes that have been served up, or something like that. This overall broadcast, when it's all said and done, consists of Johnny V here in Milwaukee. It consists of the amazing Joe Height behind the basket with his wheel. Many of you have seen him or seen pictures of her. It consists of Gary to the O, another Milwaukee friend who really just took up camera work not too long ago, and myself. And we've got a supporter in Miles, and we've got a few graphics coming in and things of that nature. But really, when we wake up and when we go to bed every day of this broadcast, there's 4 people that put on the show. I'll just say it that way. There's 4 people ultimately that put on the show. And so, sure, with a staff at 6 or 8 or 10 or 14, things could obviously continue to improve. But right now, there's 4 people.
And the other thing people are always saying, and it's the argument like we kind of had, is booth versus on-site. It would be nice, and I told somebody, I said, it would be awesome to be able to throw back to a booth.
Sure.
But again, as we say, that's 1 or 2 more people wherever they're located. in on the show. They need
knowing
time.
What's going on?
They need to be knowledgeable. I mean, if you think about it, they need to be knowledgeable. They need to be articulate, and they need to not be playing. Because half these players that we would look at, someone like I'll just throw a name out like Emac, who would be kind of cool like that. He's probably going to be playing, or a Nate Doss. They're going to be playing. Avery's doing, I'll say he's doing himself a disservice because he's still so young playing, but he's taking his game out of it. He might not play an event this year. And he's going to be broadcasting. So, it's people like that are really,
I made that sacrifice myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So it's things like that you need to think about. And they're all things we've thought about. But if you do have any suggestions, feel free to email us or Facebook message us, or, that's usually the best way. Try to get direct. Don't put it on a message board because I may not see it.
Yeah.
So.
And of course, as players, there's talk about, of course, yes, Madison joined us one day. I'm saying our core group at most events is 4 of us. Retired players, there's that possibility. Some of them are going to want to join us. I'm going to give you a little tease.
If we're lucky, in maybe a couple years, we can get Dr. Rick. Because he's still playing senior grandmasters. Think about this, guys. Climo's going to play forever.
Yeah.
He's not gonna want to come hang out with us and talk about players when he can probably go and make a small paycheck.
Yeah, and beat most of them still. So I did get an inside line on a pretty solid player that has shown interest in a career after throwing discs around, and I got to leave it at that. It's gonna be a secret for probably a little while, but at some point I think you may see a serious addition. But it could be months or years or 5 years off. But I think we're gonna we've got one guy that's particularly groomed, and we're looking forward to him joining us.
So that's that. That's the broadcast. We thank everybody again for watching. Blah blah blah. We're not gonna get into it. Let's get into a little bit of news that we've seen this week. The big news, other than the memorial, was that the PDGA. It says here, the PDGA terminated the MOU with the WFDF. That's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah. The Memorandum of Understanding.
Correct. So more or less what that is the PDGA severed ties with the WFDF, which is the World Federated Flying, or the World Flying Disc Federation. Sorry. According to the PDGA website, which I'm looking at right now, it says here, it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position again, stated PDGA Executive Director Brian Graham. However, it has become apparent over time that the PDGA could best accomplish its goals and continue the exponential growth of disc golf internationally outside of a formal relationship with the WFDF. With that being said, we remain supportive of the WFDF overall mission, and we wish them nothing but the best of luck moving forward. So it sounds like, for whatever reason, either the WFDF wasn't, the PDGA didn't see the benefit in continuing that relationship at this point. This has happened in the past, happened a couple of years ago, and because the PDGA joined back on in January of 2014, and they were an original member of the WFDF back in '85 when it was created. So we might see the PDGA jump back on in a couple of years, or maybe not. But there's really not much more to say about it. We don't have any other details, honestly.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I think there's a bigger story, and I don't know it yet. There was murmurs of it at the memorial. Seems like there was a side conversation that I didn't get involved with. I was busy doing something else. I think there's more to it. I'm gonna dig a little deeper, and maybe I can report back with more. But it seemed like there was something a little bit more to it. And
maybe we need to have a conversation with either Chuck Kennedy or Brian Graham. Bring them on the show and kind of ask them, the reasoning behind it. What was, or what benefits are we losing versus gaining, and things of that nature.
Yeah, you're getting ridiculed because it's pronounced whiff-diff is how it's always referenced, which is what I would have said, but I was letting you roll with it.
I'm fine with WFDF. It's hard to say, though, WFDF.
Everybody calls it whiff-diff.
Yep.
And then for those of you that don't know, whiff-diff ultimately oversees and sanctions so many of the records that you see. So, there's, for instance, when you go to a world's competition, you frequently see distance competitions, I should say, that take place at Worlds, and then there's usually the conversation as to whether it meets WFDF official records or not, and so on and so forth. So those are all things to think about. Stork would be a great guy to talk to, for instance, as he knows what's going on with all of that. 400. Oh, everybody's looking for somebody looking for driving tips.
No,
what else do we got?
Wrong forum for that.
Yeah.
Go ask Disc Golf Answer Man
how
to get more distance.
That's Bobby. I think I asked. Did we ask him that on the air? I think we did.
Yeah, we asked him what the question they got the most was that they're sick of hearing. So
yes, so go ask them that.
Other than that, we have there's just the Disc Golf World Tour talk and what's going on with that. That's the upcoming news. We're going to find out more. The broadcast schedule, it sounds like they're going to go on at 2:30 Pacific time.
Okay.
So wherever that is, your time. I'm not going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So doing math on the air never benefits anybody.
I'm sorry, you did say 2:30 Pacific.
2:30 Pacific is
all I know is that's 4:30 Central.
Okay.
So that's all I know for me because that's where I'm at.
So yeah.
Wow, Friday 4:30 Central. Should we have a Smashy party of some kind to take this in? I've never watched live disc golf on television because we're providing it usually.
Yeah, 99% of the time you've been providing
it. I've never watched it on a TV because I'll say this:
on a TV or
on a TV or a computer.
Okay.
Hardly, because I'll say if we haven't been providing it in the last 2 years, I'm at the event.
Oh yeah.
So anytime Disc Golf Planet's done something in the last few years, I think to the Worlds last year and then the year before, and then the year in 2 years ago they did I think 3 live events all year. I was at I think 2 of them. And then the other one, actually, they didn't go live for. So I never get this opportunity to see live.
We could have a viewing party.
We should.
And I do know that they are going to be on Spin 18's YouTube channel, just like USDGC. So you'll get all the benefits of all the YouTube stuff as opposed to the live stream stuff that we've seen in the past. So you'll be able to watch it on your Chromecast and all that other good stuff. Just like you watch us. But a different channel.
Yeah, exactly.
So be nice to them.
I was going to say heckle them, right? Like
a little bit. Just a little bit.
We're kidding. Is there any plans to make a quick video of people getting hit with a disc? No, there's no plans to making that. I don't have time for that. Again, we can say that I know the dog one was on 17. I don't know if it's that exciting to watch, but it happened when the women played hole 17.
Yeah, you can see it in the distance, and that it looks like somebody jumps out of the way and ends up hitting a dog or something. So. No. We should real quickly. We can save it for after show, actually.
Oh, okay.
No. Other than that, I think that's all the news that's worth telling people about.
Okay. You didn't have anything else.
I don't. That's my list.
Yeah, and I didn't have as much of a list. I was trying to think of all the different things that were going on, and the traveling and the madness, and just I guess I keep thinking about all the things we learned, which of course we do every time out. We learn something new. We definitely learned a number of things this week, and
our next broadcast is officially GBO.
Unless something crazy happens before that, yes, the next official live broadcast when we're fully live will be at the Glass Blown Open. We, as many of you saw, we had great conversations with EMAC and Bobby Brown throughout the week. I had a brief conversation with Rusko, and that's the next national tour event. And there's going to be tons of good people there. I think there's 1,200 people registered. We went over all that, so it should be pretty exciting. So thank you again to the Memorial presented by Discraft, because without them taking a chance on us last year, and we met their expectations and even exceeded them a little last year, I'd like to say. And then they welcomed us back with open arms.
I hope they didn't have too high expectations this year.
No, come on. I mean,
they know us.
I mean, we can grow incrementally here. Let's not get silly. As they say, we show up. So
we show up. That's our motto.
That's our new motto. So, So huge thanks. We can't say it enough. Discraft, especially PDGA, Spinners on the Green, and the event. Those were your main contributors in order to make it happen, and then all the supporters and sponsors just before the event, during the event. People can still go out and get a t-shirt. Miles over at Paragon is still running that, so you can go check it out. You get free shipping with it. Just go out to Paragon Disc Golf just go out to Paragon Disc Golf, and then right there's a button for store, and I think the Smashbox t-shirts are the first things that show up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There was a lower third for a while on the broadcast. A couple times we put it out there, so if you're interested in having a Smashbox shirt, Paragon.
Yeah, you can check them out there. You didn't, unless you went to dinner with it, was there support? Was there any financial support that came in, do you know?
Dinner. we had a few donations.
So we'd like to thank the people that donated to us, whether it ended up to be $12 or $112, whatever the number was. We do appreciate any and all support that came in. Nobody's getting rich here, so
no.
We had a couple of them that came in. And,
correct. Since March 2nd, I think we've had a handful of small donations. But thanks to all those people, Jeremy, Matthew, Russell, Joseph, Renee. Thank you, all you.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very, very nice of you guys to contribute in any way.
Well, let's wrap this up. Actually, do you have any picks?
Overall, no. I came back home to see gas was slowly back on the rise. That didn't excite me.
Nope.
Weather, no. Okay. I don't think I have anything that I can think of.
All right. So, for everybody, Terry said, awesome. For our guests, Paul and Nate, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for talking about all the happenings at the memorial. For everybody else, we appreciate it. If you like what you hear, like what you see, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars on whatever podcasting app you happen to use, or YouTube. Subscribe to us. We gained a ton of subscribers on Facebook, and
almost 1,000.
Almost 1,000. I didn't even look at YouTube, to be honest.
Yep.
So thank you for all that. If you don't like what you hear, just don't bother rating us. Other than that, I'm done.
All right. So like us, subscribe to us, as Johnny just said, because that's probably the number one question we get. I'm going to emphasize that. It's probably the number one question we get, which is, I don't know when you guys are live. When are you going to be live next? What time? Where at? If you like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook, you're definitely going to get those updates. So for Johnny and myself, Yuli, Paul, Nate, everybody that joined the show tonight, thank you. Have a great night. Stick around. We're going to have a little bit of a loosey-goosey after show as we get a little bit crazy. But that was podcast number 79. We were talking the Memorial Championships presented by Discraft. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox. What? We're back. Welcome, everyone. This is podcast number 79's after show. Johnny V and Terry Miller here in studio. Many of you YouTubers never left us. We're glad you're here, still tuned in. For those that aren't familiar with the after show, we
take questions. We answer any issues that you guys have. I was going to say something about. I said I was going to save it for the after show. Now I forget what it was.
Yeah. Well, we get off track. Very easily. Sometimes it's about golf. Sometimes it's about
movies, life,
non-golf things.
You know,
there's all sorts of things.
If you have girl questions, we're here.
Yes.
Anything you want.
It's
International Women's Day, so
is.
Go out if you haven't already. I know it's late. It's past that at most places, but if you didn't, give your sister or your mom or your grandma a call. And
one thing we should have mentioned that we did not today. If you go to the PDGA.com and you sign up to become a new female PDGA member, they're giving a 30% discount. So if it is today, I believe it's today only, so you're winding down on that time frame. But if you sign up and if you sign up a female member, they get a 30% discount on the membership. I saw that posted earlier. I should have put it in my notes, but to remind people. But yeah, so that's pretty exciting as well. So definitely jump on that if you can.
So the other thing I guess we never talked about is, I think we talked about it in a broadcast, the big news with Paige throwing Trilogy plastic intentionally.
Yes.
So, it wasn't like she accidentally grabbed the wrong plastic. Whoops, this is somebody else's bin or bag. There's, we know, I know as much as the next person. And you may know more.
I know more.
You know more, but so this was kind of funny. I was watching the night after we finished up. It was Saturday.
Saturday night we finished. Yep.
Saturday night we finished. So maybe it was Friday. No, I'm sorry. Then it was Friday night because it was late Friday night after the podcast. Bobby Brown came on Periscope or Facebook Live. I forget the one. I think it's Facebook Live, and he's going through all of his pictures, and people are like questioning him about it. On his Periscope or on his Facebook Live. So he claimed no knowledge, so which is kind of funny. And
is he good at playing dumb? What a great question.
Yeah. He claimed ignorance. Let's put it that way.
Ignorance or pleading the fifth?
He chuckled and just because he was going through a bunch of photos, and let's just say some of them were of Paige. So just scrolling through golfer photos and this and that, and then he was actually showing how they get some of their advertising shots, how many photos they go through in order to get one good shot.
Yeah, like any professional photographer, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the question came in on the board is that me talking about Paige and Trilogy Plastic. Well, there's just I don't want to sound like a total hashtag dickbag, but there's just a few things that I can't fully disclose. I do know a little bit more to the stories, and that's all there is to it. I wish I could disclose more, but I'm friends with Paige, and I guess I know what I know, and unfortunately, just all of it's not for public consumption. That's where it stands.
Maybe it will be someday. Maybe it won't.
I bet you some of it will be at some point, but that's just what I was getting at really there.
Do you guys think there are too many A tiers these days with the European market booming? I don't think so. I guess I haven't really thought about A tiers in a while specifically, but as long as players keep showing up, then you have a supply and demand issue. If there's never too many, if they're filling up or if they're getting a decent amount of players, if somebody's making a profit as small as it is and through an A tier or whomever, and players are willing to play, then there's not enough.
Yeah, there's. I think that's just ultimately what so much of this comes down to. It's just supply and demand.
The question should be, will the PDGA change their distance restrictions if it is required? So you can only have, if you have an A tier, you have to be how far away to have another A tier? Is it 250 miles?
I don't know what it is
500
anymore.
or whatever.
It continues to shrink year after year.
Will they continue to shrink that so that we can support more A tiers? That's a better question. Does that need to be smaller?
Yeah, those are some of the. There's guidelines, PDGA restriction and guidelines as to that's what we're talking about as to how close certain scale events can be from one to another without what they feel like disrupting, the next closest big event. So, yeah, and those get reevaluated every year. They look at them and they look at the numbers and they see how many events they are and they kind of go from there. I think one thing, fair or not, one thing that could get briefly discussed at least is any other events. We didn't have Dana on tonight, I realize. Were there any other events that we want to quickly? There was a ton of B tiers throughout this past weekend. The one that jumps out at me that we could kind of get a kick out of is just the fact that the Earlwood Classic, it was the AMs. You and I played in the Earlwood Classic back in 99.
I was going to say 15 years ago.
Yeah, 99-ish. It was you and I spring break before the rest of the crew. So, yeah, that was probably like 90, 97, 98, 98 or 99.
I think 98 might be. Anyway.
So, Earlwood. Lumberjack was going on.
The Lumberjack Open over in Michigan.
LLK Zoo. We saw Spike Heiser running another tournament. No surprise. Yep. We can just assume he is.
There were no open players at the Lumberjack.
And then Birdie Bashes are getting going as we see more and more of those pop up. That's obviously a Vibram operation. So lots of events. So besides the Memorial, we talk about the Memorial and the.
Never mind. There were open players. I was looking at the wrong.
Taylor Samala, Taylor C.
Yep. Taylor C. winning that one for $485.
Nice job, Taylor.
Shooting very well over at. It used to be Colebrook, not so much anymore.
Well, they've always used both of those courses.
Yep. The Memorial overshadows all the other events. Of course,
and that's what I was just going to say, though, is there are other events that were taking place. It looks like there was about 20 to 25 other events besides the huge events. And then the Melbourne Open, I am going to click on that, give you guys a few quick updates.
Batman won a C tier in Kentucky.
Oh, Batman. Nice work, buddy. Smashy. Kelvin Heimberg, who I'll see in a few weeks, he won Open at the A tier in Melbourne, Florida.
We should also let people know that if they are signing up for the PDGA, our SmashBox New 20 code works again. The PDGA got all the wrinkles taken care of. So if you're a new PDGA member and you'd like to sign up, use SmashBox New 20 and you can get a 20% discount, I believe.
Yes, you can. So that's back up and running. So that's good. Check it out. It's out there. SmashBox New 20, and that will get you a 20% discount on a new membership, not a renewal.
John Matalone asks, can you explain why Fiesta was not a good NT course? Because he had heard Paul mention it. I think there's the consensus that there are some very sub-mediocre holes on that course that people don't like. If you think about a couple back there where you're shooting next to a brick wall between a little alley of trees and the hole is all of 180 or 210 feet, a hole like that. There's a couple, hole 1 where it's just like a little dinker Anheuser where they have an OB on the green. Hole 18, which it looks all of, I mean, maybe it's further,
182 feet.
Oh, I was going to say 200. So 180 some feet that plays up there. There's enough shorter holes where a lot of these pros don't feel that is an adequate course to play.
That it's not challenging.
Correct.
That it doesn't challenge their full skill sets.
Yep.
That's how I would say.
Yeah, the course is, like Paul said, the course is fun. It's a good course. It's just not necessarily what the players want to see at an NT event. And I guess I don't blame them. But you get through. There's a lot of holes in the center of that course that are really nice.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, there are. I think
it seems like the front end and the back end are a little.
Yeah, and that is not the course you normally see when you go out there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cool things that they did when they put in the course is if you were a $500 donator of the course, you actually got unlimited. I believe Matt Warren, a good friend in Smashy, friend of the show, I believe he said if you donated $500 when the course first went in, you had unlimited play for you and one other person at that course because it's a pay to play.
Yeah.
So if you were one of the people that helped essentially put the course in or get the baskets, that was one of the perks of doing it. And the course actually plays quite differently, I guess, during regular setup. So I think there's 2 pins for every tee is how I think it works. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but so there is a little bit of a difference there. Yeah. So that's what you'll find out at the Fiesta course. Again, it's not that it's a bad course. It's just that it doesn't necessarily challenge our sport's best players on every single hole. And it's tough. It's tough to design a course that's going to challenge, everyone from Climo to McBeth to Lizotte and then all the way to your, 970 rated players.
And I'll say, look at Fountain Hills where Yuli had said he shot a 10 and didn't move. For Fiesta, you bump that up to a 12 to a 13 because that's what most of these pros are shooting. They should be shooting 12, and a lot of them, 13, 14 is what they expect. You shoot 14 out at Fountain, and that's a good round. You shoot a 14 out in Fountain or at Fiesta, and you're thinking, I missed some.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a good round. I was shocked. I thought the scores
round,
would be a little bit better than what they were this year, and we had perfect conditions, so I was a little surprised that the scores out there weren't a little bit better overall. Scott's asking as to the thoughts on the Disc Golf Pro Tour adding the Puttress. We're going to save that. I think that's a very legitimate conversation. We did briefly speak with Steve Dodge, and we'll talk about that more, probably even as early as next week, talking about some of that. Essentially, he's talking about putting some kind of truss mechanism or we'll say 12-inch or 10-inch barricades of sorts, putting up. They'll look like fake trees is what they'll look like. They'll look like a tree with some branding and some advertising on it. We'll get into that more next week when we may have Steve Dodge visit the show briefly, and he can...
Sure.
There was a lengthy talk. I'm just going to say that. A very lengthy talk in the house.
We gained 1,900 subscribers.
Is that good?
In the past couple weeks, past 2 weeks, I think. So I'm looking at this. Let's look at just the past week.
And now this is...
So 1,800 in the past week.
And that is on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to us. You can have it give you an alert as soon as something comes out, whether we're live or whatever. Just make sure you subscribe to us there and also on our Facebook page. Those are the 2 most common places that we're going to update. You may see something from me. You may see something on a Twitter account and whatever. But Facebook and YouTube, those are the 2 places you're going to always see things happening. So yes, calling them pillars. Concrete tee pads more locally. You're going to see those at Silver Lake later in the year. Simmer down, Jason. I accidentally smacked the goose in the chest with my upshot. It didn't even budge. These geese are feisty. Yeah, some people had saw Nico.
Yep.
Interacting, we'll say, with the geese over at Fiesta. I believe that's hole 14. Which again, we talk about holes. I think that's a great hole. You have to throw a slight turnover, that puts yourself into a decent position there to then approach to a green. And when you throw 450, it kind of makes the hole easy, but most don't. Most people don't. So you have this great kind of peninsula green. I think that's a great hole out there as well. Silver Lake does not have all concrete yet. Gray Fox does, but not Silver Lake, the new course. Bobby Music had to putt looking over his shoulder at the geese during his round. Yeah,
I don't doubt that.
Mean. Make sure you have your notifications turned on. That is correct. Have a course in Maine to take over the whole course. Have a course here in Maine. The takeover, the whole course. Okay. I'm going to skip that. That didn't make sense. Any word on Eagle's finger? We saw Eagle post on Facebook tonight. He talked about what is really wrong with his finger, and I'm going to pull it up and mention it real quick. He said he went to the orthopedist today, and he got some news. His index finger has a small bone chip in the edge of the joint. The doctor thinks the fracture is not from the Prius incident, but from throwing and overuse. He says, my middle finger has been taking a major beating over the years of playing disc golf. As you can see in the picture, it's quite deformed from the pressure of throwing, and it does look, I'll admit, kind of gross on his Facebook page. He's going to have to go to the field and focus basically on a new grip. Now, I don't remember him saying anywhere, and now there's 75 comments on his wall, so I'm not going to read them all, but I'm not certain if he is for sure going to be at the event or not. I know I didn't put him in my top 4 simply because I was unsure if he was going to show up.
Same here.
So, and I think
with his finger, if he's got to be working on a new grip, I don't necessarily think that would be a wise idea anyway.
Yeah. So that's what he's working on there. Let's see what else we've got out there.
I want some feedback. Did everyone see the Discraft commercial that I made? The nice little one where
is commercial a strong word?
Yeah. Okay. No, it's not. No, I think it's a commercial.
No, I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, I think it's a commercial. I mean, it was a thank you to Discraft, and it had, a bunch of plastic. I was looking for feedback on that. I liked it.
You would.
I did. You see that wooden contraption there? I built it to make the commercial.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of effort for that.
I just screwed together some spare wood I had because I had to have something that filmed straight down. So I set my phone on the edge and balanced it on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be a more true world. Slammed it in the trunk. Very creative. Everyone, yes, it was creative. I'm starting my school's first annual disc golf tournament. Any helpful hints or ideas that would help you out? Get people to commit to it. Pre-register is always good. Just pre-registering always helps. And then make sure you have all your scorecards and things lined up, and then have 2 to 3 helpers that can help with check-in. Those are all good things that I would recommend. I'd have to see the commercial again. Do you want to play for everyone?
I could.
You could.
Yeah, hold on.
You just want to show off your work. I know. I put together like 40 videos for the weekend. None of those you talk about, but
it's because
your commercial flipping through some frisbees. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Boring, Terry.
Oh, a little long, someone says.
Yeah, and I think I was gonna say I've got a stack of discs over there that I had to go through. That I took out a bunch of them. Let's see here.
Wants the green MRV. Yeah, I figure when you do something like that, people
are all like, "Oh,
that's my favorite. I throw those.
I want that one, or I want that swirly APX."
All right. While he's queuing up this commercial spot thing, we'll sit back and and wait for it.
Yeah, it's fine.
So yes, again, Puttress we'll talk about next week with Steve Dodge. We'll also be able to talk about Disc Golf World Tour results as to what happened over at La Mirada. That should be a good show. We'll see who we can get on. It may or may not be the winner. So we'll see as to how things go there. What are your favorite discs? I had Alan Risley had the third lowest. Really, Alan? third lowest? Huh. I know there was PDGA 200. I know that for a fact. Was John Kirkland playing? Because isn't he PDGA number 100? And the third lowest in all divisions, or third lowest in your bracket? Nonetheless, that's pretty crazy. Oh, Beats 1982 hates APXs. So
yeah,
how do you like that? In your face.
Oh, so here's the commercial. Everyone will be able to hear us over it as well. So it's like a minute long, and it goes through a bunch of my old plastic. And if you'll notice, there's a couple discs in there. That one used to be yours.
Oh.
There's an old XL in there. Right there.
Yep.
And underneath that is Mr. VD, MRV.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can't hear the music. It's like a little boppy kind of open source, free to use music.
I think you could have been zoomed in a little closer.
I wanted the whole Smashbox up at the top.
Okay.
That's why. I actually used this backdrop behind us.
Did you take it off?
I did. I took it down. I stuck the discs on the wall.
I don't know what you do.
Yep.
Wow. So yeah, right now we're watching as you go. Now, is there any kind? What was your order? Do you think you?
It was slightly in by date, but I mean, I get to the MRXs, the MRVs, and the XS, and it's hard to remember which ones came first. So.
Awfully clever of you.
I thought so. Well, I was looking at a stack of discs, and I was like, it'd be kind of nice to have another Discraft commercial. And I thought, I bet you I could just throw something together. Originally, if you guys can't see the studio, I took a bunch of stuff off the wall. I was going to put them all on the wall and kind of pan back and forth, but I thought this would be a little bit more creative.
And for those out there who are tuning in late, yes, absolutely. If you had a question about something from this last weekend, especially pertaining to Paul, we probably asked it. So you'll have to go back, watch the podcast here on YouTube, or download it to your favorite podcast player. But if you had the question, we probably addressed it. I don't think I took anything lightly on him. We asked him a couple of stiff questions there. So.
Not necessarily a couple of comments. Not necessarily pop music, but kind of bouncy, poppy, like whatever. The Stratus. That Stratus is from Spring Break.
Yes,
that Stratus
right
is
around
99 to 2000.
Yep, 99 2000 time frame.
Yep.
We traveled down to Mobile, Alabama, and played in events in both Florida and Mobile way back in the day when we were traveling for spring break. Terry come to Arlington, Texas, and film the Veterans Open. That may have been, I don't know. That comes down to a budget of somebody helping me get there, and I think that they may or may not have reached out to me at one point, but I've run out of weekends, I think. I don't know that I can go really to anything too new that isn't already on my schedule. It's going to be a pretty intense year, that's for sure. It looks great even if he hates APXs.
I took out a bunch of, because I've got a bunch of Scott Stokely old sign discs.
Mm-hmm.
I took those out because I didn't think that was necessarily the right move.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're historic.
I know they're historic.
They would have fit. Yeah, because did you have an X clone in there at any point?
No, because I didn't. I have an X clone over there, but it's a No Fooling number 9 X clone.
So they wouldn't have known.
They wouldn't have known. I didn't have anything with the X clone stamp on it. So
okay.
Just like the Cyclone was hard because it was a clear Cyclone. I would have loved to have the old school. I couldn't find one of those in my stash either.
You should have looked through my stash and then got lost.
Yeah, you should. You should give me the keys to your
no
storage facility.
Jason? You do ask a really great question. Jason LeCain asked, did I talk to Paige about the misspot? I didn't talk to her specifically. So shortly after the event, she pretty much took off. Madison was in hopes of helping us do commentary. However, obviously being best friends with Paige was interested in going and getting something to eat, which was actually a long ways away. So Madison, that's why she wasn't really able to get back and help with the commentary, and she was there to support, Paige. And I know Paige had walked by me moments after she visited the scoring tent. And she was kind of, I don't want to say beelining, but she was in a hurry, and she walked by, and I kind of walked over to give her a hug, and she kind of gave me a half hug and then kept really moving. And so when I ran into her later in the night, after the tournament was done and everybody was kind of standing around, she came up to me and she said, "Hey, I'm sorry." She's like, "I was gonna lose it, and I just needed to get out of there and compose myself."
Yeah. Well,
and of course she didn't owe me any kind of apology for wanting to get out of there, but she was all good. She was in good spirits.
It's a rough way to lose.
It is.
I mean,
it is because
it
we all
sucks
know
because she literally missed an 8 to 9 footer, and she just hit low. She kind of caught on those rings in the basket itself, and it pushed it out because it was dead center.
It was not dead center. It was left.
Was it left?
Yes,
Because it looked
left.
from the angle that we had from behind her, it looked like it was pretty center.
No,
and then it kicked out left.
It was left. It was a little low and a little left.
Yeah, definitely low. Like
and
not where you want to hit it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and it's too bad. I fully thought we were going to playoff. There was already conversation how it would happen.
Yeah.
Because what they would have done is, and I found this out after the fact, they would have moved right to hole 1 and cut right in on the men.
Huh.
And went because they were probably on like 4th or 5th card ish at the time on the men. They would have moved right into the men and then played out from there. And depending on how long that would have went, maybe we would have then opened the show with the playoff. If it would have went on to hole 1, we would have probably went live with the show during that playoff, and then been able to backtrack or something. Again, it was live TV, and we're a 4-man crew, so
yeah, we were fortunate enough. People were asking, well, how come you didn't go live with the women with this and that? Because the women were so our concern. Unfortunately, for that round was the men. Like, we need to make sure we are prepared to get the men at hole 1 and work from there. So we recorded the women, and then they finished up with ample time, surprisingly, before the men teed off. So that's why we didn't go live with the women, because on top of that, you go live with the women that much earlier. Now there's a 40-minute downtime between where people are just hanging around,
and we've got really nothing.
Got nothing to show.
And if we go and exhaust our resources too much, we run the risk on the back end of something cutting out, batteries dying, whatever, all those types of things.
Yep.
That's where it's a really tough decision for us. Now, had we known that round was going to move that quickly, and had the women just come in a little bit later, the timing would have matched up better. And we're going to continue to work with tournaments to try and help with that timing, because we would love to be able to catch the back end of one division wrapping up, and if that perfectly can segue into the next division. But again, those are challenges. But again, Paige was in perfectly good spirits. What I thought was really polite and sportsmanlike, I guess is a good word, or just friendly and just polite and nice. She actually gave her trophy to Val Jenkins. Val and Nate being big home brewers and beer consumers, Val's like, "Oh, that's a tapper. What are you going to do with that?" And she's like, "You can have it." And so that shows the overall, friendliness and amongst some of these women. I thought that was a really nice gesture. Not because Val was trying to hunt down a trophy that she needed.
Ooh, second place trophy. I can use that.
Comments on the board asking if Barsby's out for the year. I don't personally have direct for sure confirmation if it's for another month, another 6 months, or for the whole year. I have no idea. I know his elbow's hurt. I don't know for how long. I should have talked to one of his good friends, John, and asked him at the event, but there's only probably, like everything, there's only so many times you can go to someone's good friend and say, "Hey, can you tell me about what's going on with this other guy?" So I honestly, I don't know. And I'm sure somebody out there knows more than I do about it, but I'm not holding my breath on when we're going to see Barsby again.
Josh asks, what are some good ways to increase participation in leagues? Everybody wants a say, but only 2 of us are doing the work. Well, the people who are doing the work ultimately have the final say, because it's everything's you're on the line, so to speak. You're probably the person that the Parks Department is going to go to if something goes wrong. You're the person that has to collect the fees and do payouts and things like that. It's good to take your league, the voices into account, but ultimately it's your final say. As far as raising participation, what do you have any ideas as far as how?
Some things you could do or can consider is make the maybe if you whether it's donations or payout, make it more about participation than just scoring. Mm-hmm. So and what I mean by that is, maybe instead of having real top-heavy payouts or payouts that are going to the people that are shooting well every week, maybe have a CTP on every hole or within every group. Or, if you have 18 CTPs out there, but maybe the payout's not so great, at least, you literally have a chance on all 18 holes or something like that.
Or if you can find a local sponsor to give you a CTP, there's always something you can do that is not related to score. Have a real easy CTP at the end of the round and give away a $10 gift card to BW3s or whomever your local bar or establishment eatery is.
Yeah, so those are ways that I think if you take the emphasis off just how they're playing or the scores that they're shooting, that might increase participation a little bit. Of course, finding the right times to start at. If you're starting at 5:01 every day, some people are trying to get out of work. For those golfers that have jobs, trying to get out of work. Traveling considerations, those are types of things. Is your course always set up a certain way? The course you have. I mean, here in Milwaukee, for many years, there was a particular, we'll say, I don't want to say snobbish way, but there was a perception that, one course carried a certain style of golfer and another course, when we only really had two, carried a totally different style of golfer. So the course, if you have a choice, your course consideration, can you rotate around? If you have it at one side of town, can you rotate that versus the other side of town every other week, and maybe trying to draw in people that say, well, I can't make it every week, but I could for sure make every other week.
Add other things like a birdie club, or where you pick 5 random holes out of a hat, and that's your birdie club, and you have to hit. If you win all those, you get an extra bonus, a pot. Everyone can put in $1. Have other side games to do as well, and eventually, just a welcoming atmosphere as well. Maybe trophy-only options for novice players or, first-timers or things like that. Or offer a free entry if they can bring another person. Things like that will help. And it takes a while to build up a community like that.
It can. Or I like Billy Matthews' idea. Lie about the ace pot being $12,000. That should bring a few more players.
It might.
But that's assuming, I'll say this, that's assuming they know what an ace pot is. I mean, sometimes you got to really go back to the basics about being warm and welcoming and understanding and who you're catering to. Sometimes you take it for granted and you assume people, certain parts of the country call leagues monthlies. Yeah, when that's not a term that's ever used in Wisconsin.
Nope.
It's not. We have dozens, if not hundreds of leagues that take place regularly or monthly, but we don't call them monthlies. So, even just the vernacular, I think, can make a world of difference out there. The conversation about AJ Risley, the disc golf boy. I saw that he cashed.
He did.
His dad's on the board. I saw that they traveled together. I don't think that happens out of state all too often. So good seeing the Risley family over at the Memorial this year. Very few opportunities for an ace on your local course. So there's other fun,
means a bigger ace pot at some point.
Yeah, or other fun side games. Maybe you have or
we've done 2 disc night or 1 disc night, or you can go get a deck of ripped cards and play ripped.
Yeah. So or another thought would. This is kind of how I know ice fishing tournaments in Wisconsin take place. Some of them are all about the sheer randomness, meaning you may turn in the biggest fish or whatever, but if there's 5,000 or 500 fish submitted throughout the day, they just may randomly say, okay, the second fish, the 10th fish, the 100th fish, or whatever, that's what they give prizes to. So you could turn in to submit your fish, and you could win a truck, but it's not necessarily the biggest fish.
Oh, sure.
And that's to discourage cheating. Hey, hold on one second. This is Smashbox, Terry Miller speaking. Yes, white chocolate is here. So I've got, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Steve Rico on the line here as we're live tonight, and this wasn't necessarily planned, but Steve, there seems to be an image going around the internets that shows my reaction to you saying you're going on the world tour, or going to, not the world tour, correction, you're going to the American tour. Clarifications, please. That's what you said. And is that what you meant? Okay. That's all we needed. I just wanted to clarify. There was, like I said, some people seem to really latch onto my reaction, which I know I certainly was surprised by that statement that you made, and if that's where you're at, that's what I can go with. Okay. And have you signed up yet? You have not. Well, most people that say they're going are signed up, yes. So maybe you should talk to your agent. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to catch up with you. Go ahead. Well, I'm live. They're not hearing you. I hear you, but we're just in the after show. Okay. So the official stance is you're planning to play. Okay, fair enough. I heard it myself. If all of the let me quote that. If all of the best are planning to be there, you will be there yourself. Okay.
He's one of the best. He should be.
You are one of the best. Okay.
Ask him if he's going to win the World Tour.
Are you going to win the World Tour? Okay.
He's going to go out and give it his all and see what happens.
All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck. I'm going to get you going because I don't know if a speakerphone situation would really work, and our fans are glad to hear from you, and I am too. Maybe I'll check in with you a little later on my drive home. All right. See you, Little Spoon. Bye.
Right there from the horse's mouth, he plans to be at the American Tour.
Yes. So, there you have it.
There you have it. Now, someone asked us if we play leagues.
Okay.
You actually run a Wednesday night league at our local pitch and putt.
Yep.
Valley View. I will show up. I used to be a regular. The past 2 years, though, I've kind of showed up more sporadically, maybe 2 or 3 times a season. And that's just due to life and whatever. But it's I would like to, hopefully this year, depending on how schedules look, I would like to get back into that. Depends on when children's swimming schedules and stuff fall under.
Okay, so so we do. I have been, like he said, I've been running a league there. I don't know, it's got to be 10 or so or more years at least. Yeah, because it's been more than 10 years that I've been running a league there. But I haven't had the time to put in as much effort into it as I'd like. And now there's a league in Milwaukee happening almost on every course every night of the week. So now the league, just to draw attendance, has gotten very much watered down throughout because there's just so many opportunities. You can go to, if we've got 5 courses in the area, I swear 4 of them have a league,
almost every night.
Almost every night of the week, something's going on. And so I haven't dedicated myself to it as nearly as much as I could. And that's all I guess I can really say about that. But yeah, it's you'll see plenty of leagues in our area, or monthlies. I'm just kidding. We don't call them that. Which is a perfectly
grassroots.
Yeah, perfectly fine name. It's just that's in our area. That's not. Josh asks if we were able to check out the DD Ranger H2O bag. I did. I watched the Periscope provided by Bobby Brown over at Dynamic Disc, and of course I had to heckle them a little bit and chime in with my not always so quick wit, but I chimed in with a few things yesterday during the Periscope. It's a different version of their bag, and they're focused on besides lining the bottom with a plastic so that it wouldn't get wet, so to speak, they also then focused on including, a Camelback type water hydration system that's built into the back of it so that you can fill that and have your water accessible that way all the time. So go ahead and check it out there. It's probably gone on Periscope now that it's been more than 24 hours, but I'm sure it's going to be released everywhere. I may stock up on buying and selling a few of those myself. So Terry with the trolling. There's always a fine line when I'm over on their Periscope. I like to chime in with something hopefully witty, but I'm sure some people perceive it as trolling, and we've said it before. we've got a great relationship with them, so I'm not genuinely trolling them. It's usually just trying to interject. Trevor says, for some reason being that I suck, I have too many discs, ordered a Culverin, Longbowman, Cenis, and Vibram Valley yesterday. Man, you're rolling in it, Trevor. What you should be buying is a SmashBoxxTV shirt, just saying.
Paragon.
Go to Paragon. There is a Rainfly that does come with that new bag. I saw that, correct? So you can go out and pick that up. I think we can get around it. It's right at that 3-hour mark, except for a little flub in the beginning. But I think we're at the 3-hour mark, and I think we've given you guys plenty of good stuff.
Yeah, well, enough stuff.
Enough. We can't promise it was good.
Yeah, but as you know, we had a pretty good viewership tonight. So if you're the first-time viewer, thanks for watching or listening.
If you're still with us.
If you're still with us, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central Time, we will be here. Rain or shine. The only times usually we're not here is if we're going to be at an event, usually that next weekend. Like last week, we pushed off a Tuesday and went to a Wednesday.
Yeah, and then we ended up having Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll make up for it if we're not there. Glass Blown Open Week will likely be the same. Not necessarily live on Tuesday night, but we'll probably be live Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. We'll be live quite a bit. So plenty of action out there for you to check us out. As to another big question we can answer quickly, you're going to see some versions of edited round footage at some point, probably, but I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't wait.
It's not going to be.
It's not on the front burner.
It's not on the front burner. It probably won't be within the next week or so. At some point, now that Terry's here, he has a copy of the footage he's going to give to me. And at some point, I need to sit down probably, and I'm going to try my first attempt at cutting together a round. Actually, no, it'd be technically my second at cutting together a round. And you have to understand, when Terry goes out and does recorded coverage that he knows is going to be edited later, it's a way different beast than if we're doing live broadcast, because Terry will talk, turn off the camera, and then turn on the camera for shots, and then turn off the camera. For live, we leave the camera running all the time. We talk all the time. So it might sound a little disjointed if we just try to cut it.
It should be interesting.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll just kill most of the audio and put some poppy music behind it.
That's what they love.
That's what everyone loves. No one ever gets mad at the music you pick.
No, they always love it all the time.
So,
all right, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. It looks like you guys have chimed in with all your good stuff. Good seeing our regulars, your Rizzlies, your Hogs, Rick, all of those guys. We love seeing you guys all here. Thank you so much, Trevor. I know you're a regular, and so on and so forth. And to all the other hundreds of people that are out there taking it in, we appreciate your loyalties, and we're glad you could be here. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's podcast number 79's after show. We're done babbling for a while. We'll catch you guys early next week, as in Tuesday night at 9 o'clock for podcast number 80. We'll recap the Disc Golf World Tour, and you'll step inside the Smash Box.